All right, let's see how that works. 0 frames dropped. Let's fucking go. I'm thinking we are back. Oh yeah, we're we're uh, we're so back. Let me keep an eye on those frames real fast. It's still 0. If sometimes I feel like if I start the thing, it'll crash, and then you guys will call me a boomer. Let's see. We are on Discord, and it's an open VC. I'm sure some of you came from there, but if you would like to get on, I was planning to discuss not only the great Wendelian moment of last night, but also the plan. Nick is a kind of plays his cards close, and I think Nick probably is tired of being like betrayed by people, so he tries to keep like honest people honest by just not sharing too much. And I get it, it's fine, but I think we can read into his plan, even though he's pretty secretive. He doesn't want everyone to know about it. But I think we could have a little chat about that. I'd also like to hear what you guys say because I think the other day I was listening to somebody Wendell something, and they took it somewhere where I hadn't even thought about it. Like, what is the purpose of this activity? Anyway, we're just getting started. It's like you know stuff's happening right now. Nick said, "Okay, you guys don't want to play. You don't want to let me in the room. Okay, well, we're gonna attack you from outside the room." And now you see today, Trump tweeting about January 6th prisoners and all that kind of stuff, where he had been a little, he'd been kind of quiet about it before, so people are counting that as like a victory, you know. Nick is a book clubber, by the way, so I trust him. He must be familiar with the concept of dragging people across the finish line, kicking and screaming, whether that's Don or Ye. We'll find out. But I have a feeling that the Trump team is going to double down on this kind of like disavowal stuff, and the audience, the public, the voting masses are gonna think to themselves like, "Hey, that's what they did to Trump the first time." Hey, an eccentric billionaire says he wants to, with no political experience, starts talking about all this America First stuff. Oh, that's interesting because that's what Trump did. We were talking about that with GLC last night to one viewer on GLC's YouTube channel. GLC said, "So you're saying it?" He was joking. He's like, "Oh, so you're saying it's like Trumpism without Trump?" I don't think that's what they're going for. I think they're just going to try to prove that they have a better campaign. Like they're have a better message, and they're better able to run a campaign to get in the news, to get people talking about them than like Rick Grinnell and what do they call him, Javanka. Didn't something happen with Ivanka? Didn't she say she was not going to be involved this time around or something? I don't remember what she said. Trump, we do kind of like forgive him for doing stuff a lot. And sometimes when people are like so black pilled, you know, where they don't feel like there's anything that's good that happens in the world, and they just have like a list of things that they don't like about Trump or that he failed to do, or when they're saying all that stuff, it's kind of just like, yeah, but it's what we had. It was better than the alternatives. It's kind of like actually some of that stuff was good, but yeah, some of it, like they love to post the Trump kissing the wall, the Wailing Wall in Israel, and especially on Gab. Now that we're on the Gabiverse, a lot of wig nattery going on Gab, but they like to post that picture of Don kissing the Wailing Wall or whatever with his kippa on, and they're like, "Is that good?" It's like, oh well, no, actually, it's not. Actually, it's not. I should turn on media. I should charge you guys a Hamilton. I should charge you exactly one hammy for media, and you can play songs. Especially since this is a kind of chill stream here. I've got the Discord running, but just me so far. Masquetta Van said he's gonna pop in. That'd be nice. Any of you are welcome to join. The Yay stuff has to be a play. Has to be a play by Nick to say, like that quote that I used like to post from Plutarch that man really likes. Where you never where you never cease citing laws and privileges to men who carry swords. Like that's one of them. There's another one that's like two generals are arguing, and one says, "If you're such a great general, why don't you come down here and fight me?" And the other one says, "If you're such a great general, why don't you make me come down there and fight you?" That's Nick. He's making them come out and fight him, whereas they would prefer to just ignore Nick Fuentes and America First in general. They don't want to deal with it. They can appropriate some of the aesthetics, and then people like it. The crowds cheer, and then they go back to I don't know. The Israel thing is so bizarre. I think that's such a great, like, unironically, besides like the meme stuff that Kanye's saying, to be honest, like the foreign loyalty stuff is so bizarre. Like, why should I care about a foreign country so much? Like, why do we have such special deference for that? And then you figure like, oh, it's based on fear. It's totally fear based. Everyone's afraid. Well, what if you just don't care anymore? What if you're the free man talking and it's you only report to God? Hey, what if you don't care? And what if people like it? What if people enjoy that message where they're just like, yeah, I don't want a handler. I'm free. I only bend the knee to Jesus Christ, and I don't know. People like it. That's what got. I think that's probably what Nick is thinking got Trump elected the first time. The energy. I know. I read it. I think in the Axios article, he said, "Yeah, just turn off the teleprompter. Stop having gay Rick Grinnell write your speeches or whatever, and stop reading this Claremont shit, whatever it is. I don't know. It's like, damn it. Seventh is not good." I'm inspired by Paul Town today. When Paul Town was doing those stream of consciousness streams while playing Rainbow Six, and he was doing like so good at it, and you were like, is he really talking and playing at the same time? Like, that requires a lot of brain work, I would think. That would require a lot of energy to be doing both of those things. And then when he like reacts to what's going on, you're like, oh shit, he really is playing that right now. He's just vibing. He's not thinking about what he's saying. He's just saying what's everyone is. Oh, Wendell's in here. Let's fucking go. Wendell, were you listening to my monologue there?
Yeah. I've been tuned in for the last like 5 minutes. I was just on with Ralph, so I saw you were going live and popped on. Oh, he's just been going all day. I watched the entire. Well, everybody knows what happened, but I watched the entire 3 hours and 15 minutes over there. I just tweeted out
the Twitter space.
Nick and Ye and Alex and all the.
I did tune into that earlier when I was in my car on the Vince James stream, and I was like, oh man, they just need to let Nick talk. I'm sorry, they just need to let Nick talk a little.
bit more. It's only day. It was only like day 3.5.
Oh, right? I know.
I mean, it's just day 4. We're just getting started.
Like you say sometimes though, Nick has been practicing for this for years since he started his show in his college dorm room. He's been preparing for this day hardcore. One of those things is earlier I was thinking like, man, like I don't know. When I see Nick doing all this stuff, my first instinct is like, fuck, this guy has been outworking me. Just it's so true.
No, it's
And
real.
people really don't understand what Nick is. They think he's just the funny guy on the on the clips on Twitter who points a knife at the camera and says I'm gonna kill you, you stupid bitch or whatever, and then everyone laughs but they don't understand what's going on there in the background. There's a lot of politics stuff. Like Nick is actually a super smart and capable guy.
Yeah, they're going to start figuring it out here little by little. I noticed that the BAP guys are just desperate. They're desperate for attention, man. It's
So,
crazy. I mean, I
how
just been
comfortably
ignoring
do you
them,
feel
but
speculate about what Nick's got going on?
uh,
Because
I'm not even worried about it, man.
yeah, yeah.
He's the big boss dog for a reason. He's got it handled.
So I was thinking that a lot of people don't know about like the staffing war stuff, but this Yay thing is got to be part of that, right? Like when they're saying, "Hey, recognize that this is a Christian country and don't appoint a bunch of Zionists into your cabinet," that's like a staffing. That is a staffing war. You know what I mean? He's
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
the
for real.
thing. Uh,
Yeah,
it's gonna
I'll
affect
just say
who gets appointed.
well, there is one cozy streamer who just came over like 4 days after he went
Stone.
on another cozy streamer's channel. After and then so yeah, well, a certain very new cozy streamer. He went on another cozy streamer's channel, although it was like one of these 20. It's the 24/7 cozy stream.
Uh,
Maybe that the one
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
Nick and Ye went on, that a bunch of cozy streamers went on with Ye today.
Uh,
And 4 days later, he went on there and he was talking about early October. I think it was mid October. He was saying, that Ye is the guy that can kind of reinvigorate Trump. And 4 days later, that guy got a cozy channel, and then 6 weeks later, we're here now. And I noticed, he did that same cozy streamer did his typical cozy Thursday exclusive, which is
man,
fantastic.
I don't.
You really get to see him deepening his ties with
Is it
individual
you?
streamers.
Who are you talking about? Is
No,
it you?
oh no, Roger Stone.
Oh yeah, that's what I said, but you didn't answer me. I was like, is it
No, yeah,
Roger Stone?
yeah, you're right about it. It was Roger Stone. But today I was watching, and he brought a couple cozy streamers on. He brought Bryson Gray on, who was also on Infowars today. You guys probably saw Alex playing Bryson's music. Bryson streams over here. If you guys are into music production, check his streams out. And then
Man,
we had T.R. Sarter come on as well, and
nice.
also Jake Engels, who's got a cozy channel in the works.
Wait,
Um,
is Roger Stone Alexander Hamilton built?
No idea, actually. I have no idea. I'm starting to get Roger Stone pilled, man. He modded me up in his chat. He's got his full-time assistant is the name, like the guy that runs all this stuff. The guy, I think he said, when Stone's in town, he spends every waking hour with him. So that he's cool. You can tell he's a Twitter old head as well. He's got the deep knowledge. I slipped up on just a few details. I kind of misremembered the order of the original few that got banned from Twitter back in the day. And that guy was like, he quickly corrected me. He's like, no, this guy got banned for this. And I was like, okay, old head check. This guy passed the old head test. So Stone's got a great crew around him, of course.
Yeah, the old
And
heads, like you were talking about on your stream the other day, the old heads who are like retired, they might want to come out of retirement.
there'll be plenty of time for all that, right? I mean, everything is just it's happening at the right pace. I will say that I've started tweeting again too, mostly to just remind people like
To threaten
if we
Bap's
can stay,
followers with the
yeah,
fear of
yeah, if we
God
can
a little
stay
bit.
on
Yeah.
Twitter, if we can stay on Twitter, like
Sorry.
just you just want them. I posted that heart rate chart today. You want to keep them up above like 170 BPM, so they're just laying on their back, panting and shit in their pants.
That was so funny because I
You want
was
to
in
keep them there.
GLC's chat. We were listening to that space when you were saying it to that guy. And like right before you said that, I was saying, "Oh, this guy's having a physiological reaction to getting shit on right now."
Yeah, you heard them all. They were all like gay and Jewish,
Oh yeah, that was
and
so funny.
so they're really not used to just being talked to like a man would talk to them. So they had a little bit of a problem with that, and they're flipping out right now. I mean, Jesus Christ, it's just like I don't want to deal with like muting people on Twitter or whatever. I want to leave my notifications open. But Martin, I know you're probably listening, but
No,
next time, just follow me, Martin. Next time I do a space, jump in and you'll get yours too. But that can wait. I mean, he's just like the rest of them, right? He's a gay Jew from a foreign country. So anyway, they're
he
just
probably
losing.
is, but I don't know if that's true or not.
Well,
He
they all
certainly there's something
get
wrong
the
with him, but
voice
I don't know
for it,
what it
right?
is. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got the high trait neuroticism, but I don't know. It's like the one guy, that monkey clear pill dude or something that we've been laughing at for a year at this point. You know, you just let them wear themselves out. Um, that guy was, I don't know how many times he tweeted me today, freaking out, and then he deleted his account, and then it's the time to post the cozy replay on Twitter, right? And then spread that around. I just had that juice around.
Oh man, I
Another,
forgot to say. Did you hear Wall Street retards takedown of that BAP space, that Smeet space with BAP in it?
yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean,
I
yeah, of
had
course,
that. I was
every tweet
streaming
on
that
Wall
and I
Street.
deleted the replay, but I really should not have because that was beautiful. Shout out to Wall
Yeah,
Street retard.
maybe at some point. Maybe at some point. I mean, it's too much to ask, but maybe at some point one of the BAP guys will jump in there that's not a gay Jew, but we haven't run into one yet. So,
Hey, you know the rule. If you say their names enough in an open VC on stream, they will come. They'll show up. They will
well, I did
appear. You will
tweet.
summon them.
I did tweet this out, so they know we're streaming, but they're just probably smashing their keyboards or whatever right now. They're taking their SSRIs or something. Who cares? Who cares? We have national problems now.
Yeah, we got bigger fish to fry now than
Yeah,
dealing with
way
weird
fish.
anime pedos who are in love with neocon political philosophy for
Dude,
no apparent reason when they're
the
Canadian
worst
or.
part for Bronze Age pervert, and the worst part for Martin and all these guys is they are just going to have to wonder until we decide to tell the story where all that stuff came from that they all had to listen to for 3.5 hours on Alex Jones. They're like, could it have? And it's like, man, not knowing has to be so tough. But anyway, so yeah, how was your
I'll
day?
tell anybody who will listen pretty much. So.
No, I just mean like there's a fuller story that'll be told at some point, but that's up to us. So anyway, how was your day? How were you enjoying it?
I'm sick today, so I actually yeah, sound kind of bad. I'm not so bad as I thought, but yeah, I sounded like Crypt Keeper yesterday, is what GLC told me. As long as I keep it down here, it's okay. But if I go like, "Let's go," then it's not good. So,
Okay.
yeah. But the good
That's
thing
all
is
right.
that people don't expect me to talk a lot, especially if I ham it up a little bit.
Well, at least you're in good spirits, right? You know, you're enjoying the
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm enjoying the events of the
13th,
day.
14th day. I mean, it's been since Friday morning, like 2 Fridays ago or something. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be 2 weeks tomorrow. And we're right at the 2 week mark right now since the infamous paparazzi shot of Kanye coming out of a luxury hotel in Beverly Hills with a champagne flute. Got the tongues wagging.
You know, Nick has been on Alex Jones before, but
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
think he's ever been on Timcast before.
No, they wouldn't even say his name.
Was I tuned in, but after they had already left. But was Nick actually present on screen during the Timcast thing? Was he like?
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, imagine how that feels. People have been telling on Timcast, the producers or whatever ask who should we have on Twitter all the time, and what does fucking everybody and their mom say? All the fucking replies say one thing. They say Nicholas J. Fuentes, and they're like, no, I don't
Yeah.
think so. So now he gets on. Look at that. It's already working. He's already getting heard where no one would hear him before. If he goes on Alex Jones and starts talking about the Mishnah, I don't know. People are just going to hear this and be like, what the fuck? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have never heard this before because it's been so gate kept. But now, if literally, if it's true that Nick is tweeting from Kanye's account, it's like, oh, it's never going to end. Like, if we talk to people and they agree with us, they're going to start talking about it. It's like, okay, are you going to ban like everybody? I don't know. I wish I knew who Kanye had pull with, because I really don't know.
Well, I'm sure a couple $1 billion has a gravity all its own. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Is he? I had a joke the other day about the world's most famous billionaire running for president, and the joke is that there's two of them doing the same thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's
It's
true.
either one, and they both are totally enamored with Nicholas J. Fuentes.
Yeah,
So
try to play it down though, but Nick is riding with Kanye, so guess what? I'm riding with Kanye. It's just
Nick's
the way it
riding with
works.
Kanye. Nick's riding with Kanye.
Yeah,
and he's eating
if
cranberry
Trump,
sauce, and he's eating Thanksgiving dinner with Trump, who's loving discovering Nick, right? And we all had that moment. I remember, gosh, when some Chad old heads back around "He Will Not Divide Us" were talking about the emergence of Nick. And it's like, yeah, I remember the first time Nick liked one of my tweets. I don't remember what the tweet was, but I remember when it was, back fall 2017. I remember that because I was listening to a Nationalist Review at the time. So it meant something. But it's just funny to think that President Trump and Ye got to experience that too.
together.
We're like we're like Eskimo
Thanksgiving.
brothers, We're like Nick brothers.
So true.
Beautiful.
I haven't seen any of the official responses besides that push off thing that you sent me, where she's saying, "I can't believe that Kanye said that Hitler was kind of cool."
Yeah, well, she's in for a rough couple years, isn't she? So are a lot of people, though. So
what did the BAP guys say about that? Because that's kind of their go-to whenever you ask them about
I
anything, is they
don't
just
know.
pretend to be Nazis. You know what I mean?
like I'm the kind of guy that I only get aggravated by like the little tiny things, the little imperfections. So when things are going good, it's nice to just kick back, put your feet up. Like I said, just try to ignore them or whatever. Like who wants to deal with the little? I mean, all they want is attention. It's like when your son is tugging on your pants or something. Daddy, daddy, daddy. He's standing up on the toilet with the butter knife, pretending to shave next to you or whatever. It's like, okay, all right, here's some attention, but you don't have to give these guys any attention. So I'm really not.
So I have a question. Do you like doing Twitter Spaces?
No, dude. I was so annoyed, so aggravated. Somebody sent me a message or whatever, and they're like, "Why is your voice shaking so much?" And it's like, my guy, it's 2 a.m. I've been standing up for 10 hours. Like I got the standing desk.
They were just making shit up. They were like, "Oh, I could hear you hitting the crack pipe."
Yeah, no, my legs were turning to jelly.
What's up, Snoopy and Masquetta? How's it going?
Hey,
they're so annoying, man. They're like so annoying. Well, here's the thing, right? So,
but it is good
really
content
nice
to bully those guys. Just so you know,
I know
it's fantastic.
I know,
content.
and it just happens all on its own. But when you run like a Telegram call in on Cozy, I really enjoy it, guys. I did one the night before, like 24 hours before that space, and one guy called in with just the right question. And I think I timestamped it for somebody the other day. I like, here's the Wendell mode segment or whatever from that call in. And I think it was 70 minutes. It was like 70-minute monologue that this guy got me to discuss. And it was one of those things that I've been working down probably for, again, 11 months to say it. And in this case, 70 minutes. But I'm really not ready to talk about it. But that was a good first step. Like I'll be able to distill it further after that. So I really enjoy doing that stuff, but it's because I'm always ruthlessly beating my audience into shape. The deal is like,
it's great. I love it.
Yeah, but if you're in the chat or you're on the phone, like it's just like, I got to maintain standards, and that all comes from watching Nick, and Nick is very assiduous about high standards and maintaining them constantly.
Yeah.
And
except for when he's bullying people and he lets them talk their shit, and that's great content too.
Yeah, but I mean, when you come like. I came over to America First very late. I'm still a new fag in this thing. I came over December. I came over after the band wave, and getting my bearings over here was funny. Bookcat, you'll remember I was going around all the Groiper group chats, and I would come back to Bookcat. I'm like, here's their culture is so intriguing,
Yeah, yeah.
like the
Yeah, yeah,
anthropologist.
yeah, yeah.
I was like, this is really remarkable. I was so white pilled. I was like, Bookcat. I went to an archive group chat on a thing called Telegram, and these groypers are engaging in high level knowledge management practices. Right, and, Fortune 50 corporations pay millions of dollars and fail at knowledge management
Oh,
practices. The
just for
genius
the
of their
audience, I just want to interject. He was really impressed that the Nicholas J. Fuentes archive chat was like almost competitively trying to save the largest files, like the best quality files, and like having the most used space and the most used hard drives and all this
yeah.
stuff. And he was like, "This is
Yeah, but
yeah, yeah.
because of that, because they had all that, and you could just trade for it or ask for certain things, and you still can. Although I'm now just a feral zoomer, like they are too.
Let's
Um,
go."
that's how I acculturated pretty quickly, because you could go and watch the right clips, and you could see what clips other people held in high regard, and so you just learned a lot in that case really quickly about what Nick had been building over here, which I'd been, the only clue I'd had about it since was Groiper War, really. Other than Twitter. Twitter makes people, you heard them last night. Twitter just fucks your mind up. And all you
So
guys were
true.
hearing in that space was a streamer versus deranged and degraded Twitter beasts, like the horrifying mutants of Twitter who do nothing but scroll, right? That's all they do. They don't read anything that's not on their timeline. So that's like their whole world. And it creates a really self-centered person. And Bookcat knows that used to be me. And he also knows I gave all that up. And that's a
For the
process.
because Wendell gave it up because he started trusting the plan. That's why
Yeah.
he saw the
No, that
plan
is
working out in the wild, and he was like, "Oh,
Yeah, Bookcat remembers it wasn't 360 days ago, because it was like 2 days before that, right? So it was like
yeah, yeah."
362 days ago. And I was like, Bookcat, like, it doesn't matter. I will bury the hatchet with anybody that I had problems with. Like, all I care about is like doing whatever you say. I was like, Bookcat, just tell me what to do. This is working.
Wendell used to be exactly like he is now, except for he would get in fights with people about like,
I was a Twitter guy.
was it good to kill all of the wolves in the Midwest? And
It was just anything, right? I
Wendell
mean,
would
it's
say,
anything.
"My people went through it. You ain't been through it. You don't know what it was like out there. You
Yeah,
have to
literally
follow the
anything
mama
is
to the
up for
den,
debate.
put them all out of their misery, so
It's
they're
just
not attacking your
but this is
cows."
this is what you guys heard last night from the deranged Twitter mutants, right? It's like literally everything demands like a insane hackles raising argument. When you join an organization like America First, you find out right away that the first thing you don't want to do is detract from it, and it moves so far without you that it doesn't need you. So, the thing you can do is just listen to other people, and if they tell you like what you're good at or what you could do, just try and believe them, but mostly just let them drag you kicking and screaming into it. So, it's been great for me. But yeah, that was what was annoying, was going on a Twitter space. It's totally open. About a third of the audience was probably my dudes, but they're not going to
You
come in and tell me.
abusing those guys is great content.
I'm not abusing a man. I want
No,
to,
you totally
spare the
are.
rod, spoil the child. No, it's just you don't want to leave anybody behind. And it's just kind of like missionary work. It's probably not very pleasant, and you got to go live in a really austere environment. Like, you got to go back to Twitter. You got to talk to guys that are just, they're so
Talk to the
self-centered, man.
savages, the
It's
local
crazy how
savages.
self-centered they are. Like,
Yeah.
they didn't even know what they were, what I was, they couldn't even remember that 2 minutes ago that somebody had spotted them and dragged them up in front of the space. That's how self-centered they were. It was like crazy. It's like,
They're
dude,
self-centered.
do you not even remember that you were dragged up here after listening to me shit on other people? And like, they couldn't remember any of it. Their minds are just fucked by the fact that somebody's talking to them straight in a certain way. It's like that crackhead,
And they like it.
They do like it. They couldn't get enough of it. It's like, man, what a bunch of sick fucks, So
Yeah,
they
the
got
best
to
part
be
of
healed. They got to be cured. And if they probably can't, right? Like Nick is so bookcat. You're one of the most. I used to think bookcat was the most instinctive man alive until I found out that that was just because Nick could see things like even 2 or 3 months or more ahead of Bookcat, and so they came true later to me, right? And so Bookcat had the early lead by being like 6 or 7 months ahead, and then Nick was,
Well,
Nick
Nick
can
is
be
doing
conceptually
stuff.
correct
He's
about
he's
things even
doing a
earlier.
lot of stuff. So
Yeah,
he
yeah.
he's doing it in the moment, you know? He doesn't have to find out about it later.
Well, like Nick just calling back. I remember back in December when after we first started working with Nick, and then he started talking about Bat being a gay Jewish Straussian, and I remember Tarnsila, not to call out Tarnsila, but he's like, well, I don't know if we said Jewish. Like, I don't know where that's coming from.
Yeah.
But
That's
I was
true, and
just
I
like,
didn't know
let
that
him
either
just
until
roll
like
with it.
very. I wasn't convinced of that really until recently, and it was
I know
through a
that's the
lot of the
crazy
stuff that you
thing.
guys have
Like
been talking
he was
about.
just right. He just knew it was the signs were there. But that
Yeah,
space last
I
night, and
remember
for
that
anybody
group
who
chat. I
caught
was like,
the
I don't know if he's Jewish, but if he isn't, he's the biggest Shabbos goy of all time.
yeah, but then listen to the guys that roll into that space last night, and they're all gay Jews, all of them. It was like 5 for 5 or 6 for 6.
Hey, Wendell, why are you
Yeah,
so angry?
yeah, but
So
Bookcat
gay.
trained us early on. Bookcat was the first guy to talk about voice physiognomy or whatever you called it, like that
Hmm.
somebody had a good or a bad voice. And that was back when guys from the timeline would go on podcasts and you would talk about that because he'd be like, hey, look, I'm on a podcast. And you
Man,
go listen to him
I
on YouTube. And like, oh, brother, like, I kind of feel weird about me and mutuals with this dude.
yeah. There
Voice
was
is
there
not,
was this one guy in like 2014 on Twitter, and he was always posting his like fitness information and like motivation, and oh, I'm at the gym, posting pictures of all this stuff. And then later it turned out like he posted a selfie, and he like was smaller than I am. I'm like, this kind of sucks. And then later he posted a video, and his voice was like gay, and I was like, oh man, I can't do this. This is fake. This guy's fake. He's not a big tough guy. He's not big, and
yeah.
he sounds like Mike Tyson, but he's not Mike Tyson. You know what I mean? If he was Mike Tyson, it would be different.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
ain't no Tyson.
No,
You ain't Mike. All right.
yeah,
I
it's
don't
just too
know.
bad. It's too bad because I went through it when I first started coming, when you started streaming and you asked me to come on, and I would listen to those replays, the first replay, really. And I was fascinated by the sound of hearing myself talk. I was cringing at first, because
I still
your
can't listen to it.
vocab, well, you got to, man. But your vocabulary gets melted down to like 10 words the first stream you're on. I mean, I felt like a dork, but I listened to it and I was fascinated because I'm like, this is what my voice sounds like. That's so crazy, right? Like it's just
Yeah.
the voice you have inside your head has always been your same voice your whole life. You don't know what your voice sounds like if you don't listen to recordings of it. And so that's what I was trying to tell those fags in the space last night. It's like, look, you don't even know that you have a gay voice. You don't know that you sound like a gay Jew. Well, it's because
Ouch.
I'm no, it's because of spaces though, right? Like they've never heard their voices recorded because they're not streamers. It's a unique thing that only streamers engage in. If we were musicians hear their voice recorded, but in singing, and everybody's singing voice is so different that most people couldn't tell that like the guy from ACDC is Australian or something, right? It's just like singing voice,
Yeah. Yeah.
There's all kinds of bands from like Sweden and shit that play rock and roll, and you think they could be anybody from anywhere, but they can't even speak English; they could just sing in it.
Yeah. They do diction classes, but they don't like.
Yeah, these guys they don't have the streaming skills. They don't have the streaming skills. What was funny was that one, the Boomer Mike guys are really funny because they're just two internet friendship club, and of course we're sensitive to that because it blinded us to a lot of getting stabbed in the back later on. It blinds you to a lot of the nefarious behavior and the signs that people show that they're going to maneuver on you. And so that one guy that was like Boomer Mike's side man or something that just was wandering from identity crisis to identity crisis and was starting to figure out like maybe I should wash up on the shores of America first. And he opens up by asking about
Absolutely, you should.
well, he warns me, or I mean, he starts off by asking me about how to use. We've been thinking about trying to use OBS. So I mean, that's only for streamers, and it's because they've been doing so many spaces. And I'm teaching him all about that, like
Boomer
bing bang
Mike.
boom. No, it was this. I don't even want to say his name, but some other
Yeah,
guy.
yeah, yeah.
Torba follows this guy in Gab, so I want to cut
Oh,
him some
I
slack.
followed him too. Yeah, yeah, great guy.
Yeah,
Is he streaming or just doing spaces?
that Chase guy. We talking about Chase? No,
Um,
this guy's name is Chase, and
Wolf?
and he
No.
thought I had some kind of problem with him because I was just being straight with him. Like, here's your problems, right? We got to unfuck you, man. You've got some real problems, right? And he wanted to fight me and stuff. They always want to fight you because they have no respect for the medium. It's like, well, first of all, if it was real life, and I sized you up and you're some big tough guy because you've been working out to try, he was talking about being a weightlifter or whatever. And it's like, I'm smarter than you, so we're not going to like fight, you're going to die. And that's a problem for me at that point. But it's like, look, this is the virtual environment. Like, you're not respecting the medium. One of the reasons
Mm-hmm.
why we do so well as the media is we respect the new medium. We're
Mm-hmm.
not people who like try to force legacy systems into the virtual domain by like, putting a camera in the back of a classroom and filming a teacher at the front. You got to respect the medium. And this guy's like, well, you're telling me to get down or lay down for America first. Come make me. And it's like, dude, you're
All right.
missing like it's
Okay.
there's no point. There's just no
Challenge
point.
accepted.
But it's like these dudes never used the forums or the image board. Just like, what were you doing
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
internet
yeah.
before Twitter, my nigga? Like, you don't even know any rules of etiquette. Like, no one, you can't do the tough guy thing was played out by like the mid 90s.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I mean, it's a joke, but like when people start insulting you on the internet, you can't just like threaten to kill them because it doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
there's
like
no way to close it.
there's
I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
when you start insulting people, it's like, "Oh, you're using fighting words on the internet." Like, "Okay, I'm just going to threaten to kill you now because that's where we're at." Um
yeah. Like, it's just like, come on, man. Like, get it together. And so it's just these compounding flaws and compounding asocial issues. And so you're trying to like throw a lifeline to the guy. And I tried to use that example for him. It's like, you're drowning and I still have my strength because I'm not drowning. But if I jump in and try to swim you to safety because I have enough strength to do that, you're going to kill us both. You're going to climb over
yeah.
me to breathe.
It's
You're going
so
to sap my
amazing.
strength. And then we're both going to die, but I'm not going to like jump in and try and rescue you. I'm going to throw a life ring to you and you can either sink or swim.
Just from talking to like posters for like, good part of my adult life. People who are always arguing, people who are always, posting links or introducing new evidence or stuff. And it's like, some people weren't doing that since high school. Some people were just fucking around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some people weren't building libraries and creating a new ideology with their friends on the internet. They were, I don't know,
Oh, you're
drinking.
right about that.
So when you're talking about that, it's true, especially if you never use the forums, because that means your
Yeah.
brand. If you didn't use the forums, that means you weren't around before, and if you aren't into streaming now, that means you are doing what? Like, at what point did you start using the internet? Because jumping from text to streaming is totally different and requires like a different skill set. It's not even the same content, to be honest. I still believe in a text-based supremacy, but if you didn't even engage in that, what's the leap that you have to make?
I'm done with text. I mean, I like to read and stuff, but I don't know. It's so disputatious. I know that's what a lot of people like.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they like this space.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't deny content. You guys are right. I had fucking crazy views last night. If you took the Twitter space
It
numbers
was like
and the Koji
600.
numbers, they were bonkers. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was eight, but that's because they like hearing you be aggravated. Everybody thinks it's the greatest thing since sliced bread or something. Even Tarsila was like, yes. And Tarsila, to get praise out of him, it's like, okay, this means something. But I'm thinking like, I was just annoyed. Like, that's all you guys were hearing. Like,
Yeah, but that's the nature of the medium, kind of. It's like, I don't know. Sometimes when I talk to people and they're like, streaming, so is it like, you do like a PowerPoint presentation, like you have it all organized? It's like, no, you just turn the camera on and start talking to your friends, and the content happens. I don't know. You can
I
do a
know, but I
monologue
I
if you
hadn't
want,
been an
but
I
it's like
hadn't been
in streaming though. That's kind of that's just like content. You know what I mean? It's not
I know, but
bad. It doesn't have to
I
be
hadn't even
informative or
been
whatever all the time.
annoyed. I hadn't been annoyed for like 1 second on the internet for like, I don't know how long ago it was, in the 2 months since I just banned Anglo-Acadian from every single thing he could access that I was involved in, social media, chat, whatever, right? And so, like, that was, and that Anglo-Acadian's, he's one of your mods, and he's
Yeah,
listening
yeah.
right now. But that was nothing. Like, Anglo-Acadian was like, the issue with Anglo-Acadian was like, for 1 second every 10 minutes on stream, he would throw me off my loop. That was it. So, but then it's like going in that BAP space, and these guys are just crawling. They're not even crawling over each other. It's that Spoods and Goose, because I never spared the rod with these guys, which is what is good for all of us, right? They were in there. I mean, it was beautiful. They were just lassoing these dudes and just dragging them in front of me. And I didn't have to do shit. I wasn't paying any attention. All I was doing was just pacing around in my living room with my phone on a stand. And that's it. That's all I was doing. They were queuing everybody up. They had more experience lately dealing with BAP weirdos, so they were able to spot them and call them out. I only
Yeah.
know the old heads, and those guys are too cagey. They'll never get in these Twitter spaces at this point.
No, they won't.
Now they're too
I
cagey.
will,
Like,
but
even a
now I
guy
have
like
to go.
Martin
I
isn't in a
cannot answer
Wolfpack.
any questions. Now I must go because coffee, because somebody in street, because
Well, and it felt good. There was
yeah.
one guy I was able to prosecute in there, Sid. I remember that guy from way back. And the takes was always like half and half, right? And then you find out why. He gets in there and he's a fucking loser. And you're like, that. And I told him, I was like, now I know. Like, that's like a 6-year riddle that's solved. Like, you're a fucking bum, Congrats.
Who is that? I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, exactly.
Who was it?
Exactly. Sid or something. He's got some black and white skull cut in half. I just, I took the Glasgow facial mashing test when I was a lot younger. The long form. It probably takes you 45 minutes, and I got a perfect score. And it was just one of these tests I found out through the internet. And they try and recruit you at the end to go and work for Scotland Yard to be like a face recognizer on all the surveillance cameras. So I thought that was funny. And I proctored the test for my dad, because they said it was ultra rare to get a perfect score on the long form GFMT. And my dad took it right in front of me. He got the same score. He got a perfect score. So then I took the Farnsworth Munsell 100 gradient matching test, and I think they say 70th percentiles average or something. So right around like a barely passing C minus, right? And I got a perfect score on that. And then same deal. My dad got a perfect score. And so I really high Dunbar number, and I recognize people's profiles and names forever. I mean, their profile pictures and stuff, like their
Yeah,
face. I don't know,
even if
just a
they
quirk, right?
change it, like I used to have fun changing it, and people would still they're like I couldn't figure out who it was until I clicked your thing and read like 10 of your tweets, and then I was like, oh, it couldn't be anybody but that. Like if you change your at and your name and your avatar, and you try to
Yeah,
become somebody else, it's like you have a way that you post. Like
right.
there's
Like a
definitely
like a
like a
year ago
yeah.
when we re-encountered each other, I knew who you were because the brand was consistent, and I'd been back on Twitter on a priv for like a year, and I followed you right away because I'm not going to be on Twitter and not follow bookcat. And then you heard me in a space, and I'm like some whole other guy. You probably weren't. Yeah, you weren't even following me, and I think I was locked up at the
I
time.
didn't even
So it's like,
I didn't know who you were. I was just
yeah,
super
yeah.
impressed that that
But I
somebody
felt
had figured
weird,
out
right?
what
I
I was
wasn't.
doing.
Yeah, but I mean, we've been in GCs for like,
Yeah, yeah.
collectively like years or something. At that point, I wasn't going to be like try to do a total rebrand. Like, I got to tell bookcat like who I am.
Yeah, yeah. Because I remember I asked Greenberg, and he was like, I don't know if he had a different account, but it would be weird if somebody knew all of that about you, and if you didn't know who
Yeah,
they were, if you never talked to
yeah,
them before. I was like, yeah, that would be fucking weird. Who the fuck is that guy?
yeah. It would be. I don't know. It's internet etiquette. That's the other thing. Like,
Mm.
streaming has its own etiquette too. Um, HW ran a raid on Politically Provoked a
Oh,
couple of
let's
months ago.
go.
And I just did whatever he was joking about on stream, where they're like, go promote the stream in their chat. And I went and did it. And then, and Brittany got all upset. And I just chalked it up to like, women don't understand breaking balls, right? Guys just do this all the time, but women aren't dudes, or whatever. And then I found out because Dawson did that to Ralph a couple weeks ago and tried to like harvest some of his audience over to his stream, I guess. and Ralph lit him up for like an hour straight or something on stream. And I caught the replay of that with Veda and Beardson. And then I learned like streamer etiquette. They're like, you just don't do this. And I'm like, well, good to know, right? Like, good to know. So etiquette's real important too. The forums will teach you some of that. Twitter will teach you the other, but it's also not going to make up for,
The thing,
spaces.
the thing,
Spaces aren't streaming, dude. Spaces aren't streaming.
they are though. They kind of are.
No,
It's kind of like what we're doing
no.
right here, right now.
Yeah, but see, from the other end, like so when you started streaming here on Cozy, I thought streaming was me tapping an icon on my phone like I did right now, and just I'm sitting in my recliner, I'm laying back, I'm in the dark, and I'm just talking. And then I got my own channel, and I actually had to drive the boat. I had to like learn how to use OBS. I'm sitting at a computer for the first time
Mm-hmm.
rather than just on my phone. That's what fucking the spaces weirdos are like, dude. All they do is just fuck around and see a little purple bar at the top. They doom scroll Twitter like normal, but after hour 8, it's late enough that some people are doing spaces, and then they just go in there and they tap another icon, and all of a sudden you're talking. And I remember Chief Trumpster trying to listen to one of those BAP guy counter spaces
Mm-hmm.
6 months ago, and he had the soundboard going with the snoring kitten, the honk mew 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 kitten.
I was in that. Yeah, I was in that.
Yeah, they were so boring, and it's like he's right. This shit pales in comparison to a stream. So I don't know what the effect of it is. It's like these people all watch cable news and they think that's how they have to talk to each other. You know,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
so
And
whack.
that's yeah, and it's like a dead medium, so let's go.
Yeah, no Zoomers, no Zoomers, no Zoomers. The only Zoomers doing spaces were the ones getting band waved off Twitter. They were the groypers.
Yeah, like I was saying, like if you weren't on the forums and you're not into streaming now, like what were you doing? Oh, you were like a Facebook normie, Gen X, posting your children's swim practice or whatever on fucking Facebook.
Yeah, like we were
You know what I
talking
mean?
about
Shit like
old
that.
heads. These dudes aren't old heads, and they're not old heads because they lie about it, and that's the first tell. There's an old joke. They've used this joke a million times. I was reading about the war in Grenada, well, the very short war, and there was some battle between an A team and some Grenadian or some Soviet forces or Cubans, whoever we were scrapping with in Grenada, over a bridge, right? And so an A team was like 12 dudes, and they said. In the documentary I was watching, the guy said, there were 12 of us at this battle, and I've met all 80 guys over the years at the special forces meetings or whatever. Like, I've met all 80 of us. Like, there were 12 of us there, and I've met all 80 of us in the last 20 years. So, like, when that Chase guy was like, oh, yeah, I really got on in like 2017 or something, like, uh-huh. That's why you don't know anything about this stuff. You got on the 20. They're all Martins. They showed up in the last eight
Yeah,
months,
yeah.
9 months, year. They came over literally from Facebook. Like they came
Yeah, yeah,
over
yeah,
from
yeah, yeah.
Facebook. They were never on any forums. They don't know any etiquette. They don't know anything about the fucking internet. But unlike groypers who are used to streaming being the medium, where you'll sit in the audience, and I did that from, when I wasn't going on your stream a couple times a week from February to June, I'm in the audience on Cozy. I'm learning about what streaming is as a chatter, as an audience member. And you sit there and you don't have a chance to like yell at the TV, right? You sit there, you cannot interject. You can either accept what's happening and enjoy it, or you just switch the channel. Beardson's a great streamer for that too, because he'll go and correct the audience, and he's got strong opinions. And the audience likes to put Beardson in a slightly agitated state, so he'll get in the no miss zone, right? He'll go off, and
Mm-hmm.
but that's the limit of your interaction as an audience member with a streamer. The Twitter Spaces retards. It's like the worst possible aspects of Twitter brought together with voice stuff, where it's just totally self centered. It's crabs in a bucket. Everybody's opinion is equally weighted. It means the same thing, blah, 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 blah. But as a streamer, I know that Control actually makes good content. Control makes good content. The free for all, bad content. Bad content because the content creator is being lazy.
Uh, um, I don't know. I kind of have a different approach
No,
because
no, I meant about the mute button. That's why I was using the mute everybody button judiciously in that
yeah,
space, which
yeah.
maybe have been transparent to the audience over here because they're used to streaming. But it's like, look, there's 500 guys tuned in live at 2 a.m. on Cozy, and there's 100 of you, and a third of them, or 150 of you, and two-thirds of them are my guys anyway. So, my duty is to kind of use you as object lessons because this is the format of my stream.
Remember when Daniel Burke came in here and he was like trying to get me to tell everybody what to think, and I was like, "That's not what I do."
Yeah.
You know that's like my approach is like we're gonna talk about it, and I'm just gonna convince you because I'm pretty sure I'm right, and you're gonna enjoy it. You're gonna enjoy my method, and you're gonna want to like go study something and bring it home. You're gonna want to bring home the bacon and do it. Do it yourself because it's a lot of fun. But
I reached out to Zika today, not like, aggressively, whatever. I DM'd him because he was enjoying
yeah,
the 3 hour
I
thing.
heard
And I
about
was
it.
like, yeah. I was like, you know, oh sevens, like we're standing on your shoulders. Thank you for Zika pilling us, right? Because
So
that's what was
true.
going on in that
That's
space
one of
last night.
my biggest inspirations as a poster was Zika Magic.
Yeah, I mean, and he's retired now, but that's what was in that space, and it's transformative to a lot of these young bucks. But that ain't even the thousandth time that I've done it. So to me, it's just normal. But that's what worked with Daniel Burke with me. He wants to recruit you or whatever, and I already knew that. I mean, me in this case, and so you just hit him with the like. That's not going to happen if you want to keep talking. I'm just going to control the conversation. Streaming gives you the ability to do that because I stood up on a Telegram call in and talked to guys for 5.5 hours the other night straight.
Mm.
I had a 70-minute monologue. Like, there isn't
Wait,
a
you had a
hard
70
time.
minute monologue? No way.
Yeah, that was the Wendell mode thing that I clipped. I'm just saying this like a matter of course. Once you learn how to stream and
Yeah, yeah,
anchor a
yeah, yeah.
stream solo, then what some space retard is going to get the best of you? They don't even know about
No,
streaming. They can't
yeah.
leave Twitter. They've never left Twitter since they got on there. So that's what you guys were hearing was just like the gulf between a streamer and this degenerate space retards. So they're going to have to start streaming, but they probably won't. I mean, we'll see.
I'm taking notes.
It's pathetic, man. I saw Pat Casey back on Twitter. Well, he just, he got his old account restored and he chose to flip a new one instead and just pretend it was the one that got restored. And I went and looked at his account. He happened to be live streaming at the time on Twitter. He had almost 17,000 followers. He had 2 live viewers, dude. Two
Ouch.
live viewers. 2 live viewers. He had 71 lives on YouTube and he had 2 on Twitter with 16,000 followers. Twitter sucks for shit like this. What we're doing and where we're at is something entirely new. And anybody that doesn't believe it, where was America First a year ago when Cozy was just getting off its training wheels? And where is
Man,
it
it's
now?
wild. It's been a whole year if you think about it. Like,
Yep.
Wendell has
Yeah.
really used the year. He's really enjoyed the
Yeah, but
time.
what's different about this year for America First is not the presence of Wendell or Bookcat. It's Cozy. As far as I know, right? Cozy just got its start. They did that 1 year anniversary barely a month ago, if that. So I think, Nick is a fucking visionary genius. It's Nick or it's nothing.
It's undeniable. Like,
Yeah, he's the great man of history for this time, and there's not going to be another one of these times for a long time because Nick's the only person in human history to navigate the shift from the analog to the digital age. That's it. And when is their next one going to be? What comes? No one's even thought about this, but like if it took all of human history to the Industrial Revolution for the analog era to come into existence, like analog technology to reach what
well,
would become an extended 100-year apotheosis, and then now the digital era finally transforms, bandwidth becomes its apotheosis. What the fuck is going to supplant this?
it's like guerrilla media almost. It doesn't require a big budget. It doesn't. But I don't know. Maybe those other people don't really trust their audiences to like make content. You know what I mean? I don't think they don't want people talking to each other. They just want to say what everyone's supposed to think, which is why I think like
it's just Nick,
book
though. I mean, like
clubbing.
no one else. It's not that no one else can even trust or whatever, or even have any persistence. It's that you have one figure with the best of every qualities. Like we know how intelligent Nick is. It's crazy. Guys say all this out of pocket stuff, and one thing that annoys the shit out of me about my audience is people like, "I wish you were president. Or I wish you this or that or the other." And it'd be like, my guy, I'd be lucky if the ultimate goal here would be that if the total Groper victory happens and magic occurs, and they're like, okay, who do you want for this? And I would be like, the best thing that could happen is if there's like 2 or 3 or 400 guys who are 20 years younger than you that you could choose from,
Yeah.
not yourself. Like, what do you, and that's why you're a streamer and they're not, like Beardson is like this too. Beardson had, everybody's feeling the shift. You're back. It's not some mistake. I'm, getting huge views, and it's not a mistake, and it's not just because there's an audience waiting for a streamer. And Beardson's going and doing incredible streams, and Franson is doing incredible streams, and it's because Nick is out there with the fucking world on his shoulders.
Yeah.
And the bare minimum that we can do is to step the fuck up.
No, yeah, I feel guilty. I was feeling guilty. I was like, yeah, I need to do this because like.
But the content is better. Like, it's so good. Everybody's energized by this. And the stuff I'm hearing from these guys is so profound, and no one is stepping on each other's toes. Everyone's in their lane, and it's just day 4.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really over for these hoes.
So fucking true. What do you guys think? Who else is in here? GLC, Snoopy.
Yeah. The rhythms are about to stop coming from the Caribbean.
Yeah.
I think those island drums just stopped.
Yeah, like why would we be worried about bad stuff? We're beefing with Pusha on Twitter now.
Yeah, we don't have to anymore. Totally.
Yeah, the best thing with the Israeli embassy is ignore them. Yeah.
2016.
It is fun though. Like you said, using them like a punching bag.
Yeah.
A speed bag.
Good for that at least.
Yeah, that was. I peaked my mic.
It's really aristocratic to have like a whipping boy, and just one of those servants that you just beat the hell out of whenever you're angry. That's actually super traditional.
It's true.
And,
so true.
Wendell put on one. He put on one glove and waved it in the air.
Well, it's because we're starting to become the new elites, right? Nick is elevating all of us. He's like our Washington. When it comes down to the new founding, we're all just going to point at him. But at the same time, we're beginning to understand the imperatives of being a real elite. And so we understand the wisdom of the ancients a little bit better because we're not just fucking around and we're not just throwing peanuts at the screen or whatever. We're actually taking a little minor part in supporting a great man of history as he achieves his vision for like total stewardship. We're just along for the ride. And so we understand, like, okay, yeah, this is why you have a whipping boy. I saw even Based Brant was out there getting an assistant. He was holding auditions on Telegram for the Based Brant assistant to and he had all the list of shit you'd have to do. And I was thinking like, man, that would be nice, but I get to be a little bit of a stronger soldier if I'm applying all my skills every day. No fade to Base Brant. He'll probably get to do even more. But he's out there like a little Lord Fauntleroy. But he's doing real things out in the real world, too. For those of you guys that don't know, Base Brant, a real guy, really networking people. But you see the elite status start to rise. You see guys accept the mantle, not just for whatever it provides them. That's the horse following the cart, right? It's the cart following the horse is that you're taking on more, you're getting used to that. And rather than concerning yourself with answering emails or whatever, you just have someone else who makes that transparent to you. So we're getting swagged out. It's the perfect time for guys like in their 20s and, college age dudes to do this and get used to it because when you're in your mid-40s, you're going to need to be able to order around an office staff inside D.C. without getting a knife in your back every day.
Yeah, no one's gonna knock on your door and ask you to do any of this stuff. You kind of just have to take the initiative and, do it.
Yeah. No, for real. Like Assistant Brandt now is, Chief of Staff Brandt later. So let's fucking go.
Very real, very true. I actually don't know what Brandt is up to.
Oh, he's like a lot of these groypers that are just little political operatives.
Yeah.
They just inhabited the culture that Nick built. They just fish in the sea. I talked to Anglo Zoomer on Saturday. He's like that too. 2 hours into the call, the guy could stand toe to toe with any old head. It's remarkable. And he tells you that he's in high school. And he's telling you like, oh, I'm out with Stone, and Stone is passing the torch to us in person at the Palm Beach Republican Club. Like, it's like based. Let's fucking go. These guys are really seizing the brass ring. They're being chosen by the ultimate arbiter, party historian, legendary kingmaker of the Republican Party to carry the torch that he was handed by Richard Nixon 50 years ago. He is choosing groypers to carry the torch. They have been given the mantle and it's been vested in them to inherit the American right and its traditions. So, and they don't think that's special or crazy. They just are inhabiting this life as some kind of natural pattern in high school and in college and stuff like that. So things are going fantastically. You just kind of can't let them know that, right?
Once I figured this out, and I don't know, a while ago I was asking you, like, oh, why don't you, like, stop fucking around in those groyper group chats that are, like, totally insane where they're just posting, like, 80 memes at each other? And why don't you, like, talk to, what I say, JD Vance's comms guy or something? I was like, yeah, he's
they're doing all of that.
Yeah. And when I figured it out after, I was oh my God, like, I'm such an idiot. These guys, they're doing it already. This is just them fucking around with each other on the internet. Like,
no, I mean,
they're actually out there doing all this stuff.
Yeah, Zoomers are the most uniquely productive generation in American history because rather than do what millennials did and just go jump into Silicon Valley, millennials were the first generation to even generate billionaires in their like very early 20s. You saw Gen X guys start to generate millions by their mid 20s in the dot-com boom, but millennials went and just in this totally craven fashion, probably because they were the first generation to be raised by yuppie parents. You had like 22-year-old self-made billionaires in the millennial class. Zoomers, there may be some of those rising. They're coming of age just now into adulthood, but Zoomers are just shooting straight for the power structure. It's remarkable, and that's why it's the first generation to like be a youth reaction thing. I mean, there's never been a young right-wing movement in America, and there's probably never been one in the entire world, in the history of the world, since the French Revolution gave us the terms, reactionary, right versus left, whatever, to be led by young people. Was it FUBU? For young people, young people.
By a FOA.
So I come in here as like an old guy and just, what's that, Bachman Turner Overdrive song, right? Let it ride. Just let it ride, man. Steve Winwood, roll with it, baby. Just roll with it. They don't need you.
Yeah. I was because I was like, I always like feel like I need to delegate something or something. And then I see like, oh no, they're already doing it. Like, what the fuck? What am I doing actually? Hey, you know what I mean? Like, hey, I need to shut up.
Yeah, I'm just here to give guys like a virtual experience of being an old man. So when they're old like me, they'd be like, when they encounter the issues for the first time, they'd be like, pump the brakes. They'd be like, wait, I heard Wendell talk about this one time before. A pattern, like they can close the loop on a pattern in just one real experience and one experiential instance of it now. Rather than have to wait for two experiences. Mm-hmm. So like that's really all we're doing is just like just being older than them, and like it's based though. It works real well. I'm not in here like telling these guys not to be Zoomers or something.
Oh,
But I remember too
I'm
when
playing my
Gamergate.
role. I'm playing my
Yeah, you
role.
just play your role. It's so nice too. It's such a benefit and not a cost. And I remember when Gamergate first started emerging. It's funny to talk about this stuff because Ralph was the major driver of it, and he's here. And when we talk about all the legends that are still operatives, they're all here, all of them, all of them, every single one of them. All the other ones that were around back then tapped out and they're gone. They're not in any other camp. They're just not around. There's no evidence that they even exist anymore, which is bizarre. But I remember as soon as Gamergate started rising, guys were saying these Zoom. It was before we even called them Zoomers. They weren't. I don't even know if they're calling them Gen Z. I think they were just starting to call them Gen Z, and that was because Gen X tried to call millennials Gen Y. Well, yeah, Gen
Zillennials.
X tried to call millennials Gen Y, but I don't know who came up with millennials, but that ended up sticking. And they tried to call, because they're lazy, Gen X tried to call their kids Gen Z, but then millennials called them Zoomers because Gen Z started calling us boomers. So, it was this whole thing, right? And so we didn't really have a name for them back in 2014 in Gamergate, but they were it was remarkable. They were fighting tooth and nail, and they were doing stuff that no one had ever done. They were just destroying media Jews. And guys started saying, Gen Z is going to save us. They started talking about this 8 years ago. Gen Z is going to save us. And then within a year, Trump had come down the escalator and they were starting to. Like, it was the meme magic era. Now, again, we talked about like the major Gamergate figures. If they're still around, they're here with us. Well, the greatest meme magicians are with us. Like Yoba is with us. Paul Town with us.
People don't even remember Paul Town's Twitter account. They literally just know him from Cozy.
Which one?
Yeah, it's so
the original one. You know what I mean?
Well,
so weird.
He was running like 5 since like 2015 or 16.
Well, like I went on with Yoba a week ago. I guess it was a Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and we were talking, and he said, "Oh, I heard you talk about me on a stream, and you had to tell these guys like I'm not just a streamer, like I was around."
Paul Town was on that list of the most influential media influencers with Ricky Vaughn. You know what I mean? He had like 60,000 followers. You guys don't even know who Paul Town is. He was doing like investigative journalism on fucking think tanks and shit. He was nuts. I remember a couple years after, I asked him like, "Why don't you do all that stuff anymore?" He was like, "It doesn't change. It'll make you go insane if you look at it too much." And I was like, maybe he's just having some problems. And then later, when we started getting into stuff like that, I also felt the same way. I was like, man, actually, this could be kind of like. It could like get out of control. I could see. I'm learning from Paul Town's lessons that maybe getting involved in all that shit is not so great for you. You know what I mean? I don't know.
You just never know. But he was out there without a map, and he was the guy that built the map in a lot of ways. And so when you look at what happened to him, he took those slings and arrows, and he's over here teaching guys now, and they don't have to. Like, he's showing them how to move around these things. So it's just not the same. Like, there's a huge advantage to shedding this knowledge to ensure that they don't run into the same problems that we ran into. Look at Yoba yesterday. I saw he just eviscerated Alex Stein and MTG with just one blow. And
what do you say? I missed it.
Well, Stein flaked on him, and Coulter probably got to Stein. He ghosted him. It's just very disrespectful. You streamed me talking about that with a certain old head. I didn't know I was being streamed on your channel. I may not have said the things I would have said if I know it was being recorded, but I talked about how disrespectful it is to kind of lead somebody on and say like, "Oh, I'll have you on my show. I'll do all this for you," and then ghost you. And it's kind of like enemy action. And that, I guess that happened with Stein and Yoba. And of course, the MTG betrayal came the other day. So Yoba fucked him up, right? He was just like, hey, here's the evidence I have that, that Alex Stein like fucked MTG before she was divorced. And and I saw these guys, all these Zoomers just see it for what it is. They're like, oh, I wonder, but this, they were like debating. They see this and they're like debating whether or not it happened as a factor of like breaking up her marriage. And they're like, well, look, actually what happened was she was already going through the process of divorce, right? That's what they're talking about. I'm like, hold up, little nigga. Like, did you just miss what happened here? How many times do I try to tell you guys, like, these dudes aren't just streamers. You might be sitting in the audience and you're watching a stream, but Yoba was 100 times what Stein has been able to scrape for himself in the last few months 7 years ago.
Yeah.
As a real deal dissident operative and a meme warlock, like a real meme magician, the foundational meme magician. He wrote a fucking
better
book
or for
on it in
worse.
2016. He wrote a fucking book on it in 2016. Peter Thiel's bagman, Jeff Giacia, who founded MAGA 3X with Baked Alaska, took that knowledge to NATO. He wrote a fucking white paper on the things he learned from the master for the global deep state, dude. That's how foundational Baked is. Do you think it's a fucking accident that this? Who made a call from Nancy Pelosi's phone? One guy. One fucking guy. Do you think this is a mistake? It's so fucking stupid, man. It's like, would you little niggas wake the fuck up? Like this
Exactly.
guy, there's one guy who's going to do all of this. Who's out there with the content spray? Who's out there doing all this shit? I mean, look at the guys around him. I watch Lulz. People forget, maybe they never knew in the first place, and it's all out there in the open. These guys are the reason. They are the great patrons of all the streamers on Cozy. They run the payment processing. Like, do you think this is a fucking accident? Is this just a choice that they made? That
and by the way, Baked, we appreciate it. Hey, by the way, Baked, we appreciate it.
Do you have a Wooza without Baked? I mean, one that's as developed as he is now. I mean, over and over, and guys want to pretend that these things aren't concurrent factors. He's here, like, and then it comes out in a way, where he's got to throw a brushback pitch, and he knocks down hard, like he just fucking smokes one of the most powerful congressmen in the next Congress, and this dude who's been on a meteoric rise, anything from Tucker to he's got a show on the fucking Blaze now, and Bake just knocks him down with a flick of the wrist. And all you guys are going to be arguing about is whether or not she was still married at the time. But did you miss the whole thing? That's the meme magic. It's like at the end of The Usual Suspects, right? When the greatest trick that Baked Alaska ever pulled was to just rip shit up with with hardly any effort, without anybody even noticing he was the one doing it. They're debating over like the cause and effect, and they don't even see that they're dealing with the pro. So, I mean, that's real shit. It's not even a professional thing. It's just that there's guys out there like Yoba that have always been one of one. The Ralpha male, another example. You are another example too, Bookcat. There's never been and there will never be another Bookcat because you invented all the shit that Bookcat is known for, and no one can reinvent that. No one has ever run with that stuff the way you still run with it. Look at but who's the scholars? Whose nemesis reinvent that? No one.
Thank you. That's the greatest compliment I've ever received right there. Thank you. Thank you. That's it right there.
You and Yoba
shout out to Walton.
And Pearson, and Paul, you are the guys who Nick didn't ride out on his horse with a lasso and drag you guys back into the camp, right? And go and put you in the corral and go in there every day and trying to break these wild stallions into subservient racehorses. You guys just gravitated toward him. So, when people talk about Nick, they don't even understand the bench that's around him. Like the
pasties. Exactly.
The fucking greats, dude. Guys will go and laugh they'll watch dudes that are just getting into this thing 3 months after finding Ben Shapiro because they took an AP government course junior year of high school last year, and they got intrigued, and the algorithm took them down the rabbit hole, and now they're Hyde maxing. They're watching as many MDE videos as they can get their hands on, and they're doing the Leo DiCaprio meme, pointing at the screen when they see Nick with in the great bit where Hyde announced the Wigger Twitter account. Is that an accident? Like, do those guys even know who Hyde is? I mean, that's like everybody who has meant anything to internet culture in a functional way, in a way that was not just like comedy or art for art or comedy's sake, but was geared toward pointing out the malaise in society and hinted at how to fix it. Because when I think of Hyde, I don't just think of MDE being funny. I'll never forget a week before, like it was like a month before the election, when he started laying down bets on Trump. And I remember he made so much money. Sammy pulled down so much money. He bought like a 20-something-year-old Ducati 900 SS sport bike for 11 grand. And he was posting it online, right? It was so baller, dude. And he was just, I remember the day, it was like 16 hours or 12 hours before the election. He was posting on that Night of Fire account about how he was getting guys to give him like 25-1 odds in the closing portion of the campaign. He was just raking in. No one knew it yet, but he raked it in because of that. But also he made this beautiful tweet, and I'll never forget it. And guys have probably posted it everywhere with Maddow's face. I think it was like a month out.
Oh, yeah.
When we win, right? Never forget that these people, you guys know the rest by now. I don't even want to paraphrase it, but when we win. And I remember thinking, maybe because I had just seen the everybody go watch the classic 2000 adaptation of Count of Monte Cristo. But there's a scene when Dantes, the protagonist, is interred in the prison for the first time, and he's there for like 7 or 8 years. But he begins to scratch into the walls of stone with his fingers. God will grant me justice. And I thought about when we win, because that was 6 years ago right now, when we win. And it's like, start scratching that into the walls. When we win. And Ye is out there today, and he's handed, it's like Jordan and Pippen. And you can't even remember which is which when you're watching them just feed each other the rock on screen. Jones said he peaked at 70 million viewers today. 70 million viewers today.
Let's fucking go. Let's go.
Like 70 million people saw Nick drop the Apollo affair reference.
Yeah, when we win. When we win.
Hey, we the media now.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah, what did Nick say today? Or maybe it was Ali, because he was there with him. Kanye is enjoying cozy programming. So, Kanye, if you're out there, we love you, King. Keep doing your thing. You don't need us, but we need you.
Let's go.
Well,
I'm enjoying the events of the events of the day for sure.
What I will say is, we know Ye is enjoying cozy programming. We know Nick. Well, I don't know if you guys know this, but we know Nick and Ye are out in Florida, and we also know Nick says tomorrow may be America First. Now, that's not his home studio, but I think you guys are going to want to tune into America First tomorrow, because I think there might be a special guest on that show. Is all I'm.
I got to give Paul. I got to give you a big shout out today. The move on when you were on with the Ralph-A-Mail, I wrote it in the chat when you put on the epaulettes and the stars on your Groiper General jacket, and you said, "Well, things are so hot right now, I can totally assign myself a field promotion." I wrote, "Paul Power Grab Escandon."
Who's gonna stop me? Who's gonna stop? No, I was talking to Nick last night, and I was like, "Hey,
I love it."
I was like, "How you doing, Nick? Like, how's it going on?" He's like, "Man, I feel so disconnected. Like, he hasn't been sleeping much. He's been working. Like, it's not like he's strategically not posting on Telegram much. He's like, hasn't really been in it, because he's been in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
This is the time. This is the time where I grasp Scraper General.
Let's go, dude. That's so Faustian. I love it.
I'm in. Like I'm there. It's so funny when I picked him up from the, when he came off the airplane last night, and he saw me and Ali and Jason, and I gave him a hug. I'm like, bro, you didn't know I was gonna be here, did you? He was like, no, I had no idea. Let me paint the picture for you guys. 12 a.m. Austin, Texas, private airfield. Plane comes in. 2 people come off that plane that's not the pilot. Ye and Nick. That's it. That's it. There's no entourage. There's no manager.
I was there in spirit.
There's Ye. Nick comes off first.
Ironically true.
And Ye comes off after, and I'm like, we are doing this. This is America first. This is who we are right here. And it was a great. I hadn't seen Nick since. I don't think I'd seen him since AFPAC, honestly. Yeah, I don't think I'd seen him in person since AFPAC. So it's always great to see him. So man, what a last 24 hours! I gotta tell you, man, it's been awesome. But I love hearing you guys. This is not my stream. This is your stream. I'm just listening. This is fun.
Yeah, we like hearing about it.
Yeah, I'm going to speak for bookcat. I'm going to take the field promotion and say this can totally be your stream. You're a yellow name. You're among comrades. We happy few. We band of yellow name brothers over here on Cozy TV.
Yeah, I'm not against it.
And Veda.
Yeah, Veda's in here, I guess.
Let's go.
Sorry, I've been reading the chat. I've been
Yeah, Paul, you were in the studio, right?
I was in the studio.
Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. Sorry, wait, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, you got questions? That's all I gotta
so when Nick was talking about on his stream the other day, he was like, "I don't know, it's gonna be different." The first thing that I thought in my head was, "Oh, he's getting a studio." Like, I think he's mentioned that before, but is that what's going on? He's gonna get a big fancy studio, and it's gonna look maybe like Alex Jones a little bit, perhaps.
So I don't know about that. I mean, Nick has been in the process of Well, here's the funny thing. When I went to shoot The Most Canceled Man in America, which that first shoot was May of 2021, he was about to move into a studio, right? That was a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
He was about to move into Florida. That didn't happen. So, I mean, he has been wanting to do that, making the moves to do that for a while. I don't know if that's happening or if it's soon or whatever. I mean, it's.
Oh, I have a feeling the budget went up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not been.
Let's go.
We were in a conversation last night. Ollie Alexander. I mean, it's so good that Ollie is on this. All I could say is it's incredible that Ollie's on this team. It's amazing. So there are moves that cannot be made until Ye files with the FEC as a presidential campaign. Once that's done, a lot of things open up as far as access to money, hires they can make, money that they can move around. And so, we're still sort of in this pre-campaign world where it's a small team and there's not a lot of money because, there's disclosures, personal financial disclosures. Ye's a huge, like Trump. He's got a lot of businesses. He's got a lot of lawyers. He's got a lot of business interests. There's all these disclosures. Yeah, he has to do. So once that happens, and I think it's gonna be, I think it's gonna happen. Would be my guess. I'm not announcing anything here, but I think that's gonna happen. Then things are gonna start to move. But we're not there yet. So we'll see.
Do you have any idea what's going on with Cozy? Because I know they said 1 year of beta, right? But are they going to open it and make it so other people can make accounts without special invitation, or is it going to be kind of the same invitation only?
Yeah, I think it's still beta. It's still invitation only. I don't think there's a hard date at which point that would be open. What I can tell you is I know after the events of the last week or two, there's a much higher interest in people coming over to Cozy, which is great. And the Cozy team internally has a process where they vet people and try to onboard people. So hopefully there's more people that are interested and want to come, want to stream or whatever. But it's still a closed beta, and that's what I tell people. For now, it is, if somebody asks you, or I've gotten a lot of DMs like, hey, how do I stream on Cozy or whatever? And it's like, well, we're invite only closed beta. If it's a big name, I'll pass that on to somebody. But if it's like somebody I never heard of, it's like, hey, you just gotta wait.
I've tried. I've tried to onboard people. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've been trying to get people like Cozy channels. Yeah, it's just like Nick has to know who you are, basically. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Like, we don't. If you're not like America First, I don't know.
It used to be sending people to Nick, and now there's like now you don't even need to bother Nick with it. There's like a process, and there's a team. So yeah, I do want to say I'm excited that Sneeko is on the thing that is happening with EA. I was texting him tonight, and I was informing him that there's about the process with the FEC and filing. And Nick is really smart to this. Nick's really hip to this. Ali is sort of like the master of this, but Nick knows what's going on, and there's their hands are tied in a lot of ways until the filing happens, at which point they can spend money. They can get money, they can spend money, they can make hires. And so that's going to be, I'd say we're probably about 3 to 4 weeks out from looking at who are the hires going to be, because right now, obviously it's a small team. I mean, literally there's 5 of us rolling up to Alex Jones. In a month, it's not going to be 5. It's not going to be 5 people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I always enjoy listening to the two of you talk, Paul. Not to out you or anything. I guess if you streamed about it, it's out in the open. But for those of you who think Paul is just a congenial filmmaker, I was doing the Tiger Woods fist pump in my living room when I heard you tell Ali that, I just happened to fly down to Brazil once with a consortium of investors, met with the vice president of Brazil, and as we're cornering the potash market, and I was like, let's go.
You heard that?
Power people, dude. Power Paul.
Yeah. I said that one time. I said that one time, and you were on that stream.
Yeah, it was a great stream, though. And I mean, it's, and like you said, I mean, really, really just being able to sit at the feet of these experts and hear them. Ali talking about, like, in the opening stages, you need provocative action. You need a small team, and you need to get the media eyeballs on you. And what you're going to do over the next 6 months is build into it like an electioneering operation, where you're going to need data-driven and kind of procedural understanding of things. And it's like bang, bang, bang. You could go and try and learn about this stuff on your own, and you probably never would. You'd never get to the point where you'd still be able to eclipse what 10 seconds on the right stream will tell you about how to do this stuff. And it's just the cultural capital in America First has built to the point that the gravity is here, drawing these figures to it. And now the learning that can occur at by the thousands, anybody who listens into these streams, it's just going to go through the roof. And that's what everyone's feeling over on Twitter right now.
I have a question for Paul. Before you leave, are you still here, Paul?
I'm here. Yep. What's up?
So I was wondering, when your entourage gets bigger, will you need a bodyguard?
Well, that's a good question. Probably yes. And also, I've been asked by a lot of people in the last 24 hours, like, are you doing the documentary? What are you doing with Yay? Like, what's happening? And it's like I already told you guys, like, the campaign hasn't started. So right now, I am in the service. This is how I say it. I'm in the service of Nick Fuentes. I'm in the service of Alexander, and I'm in the service of Yay. Any of those guys ask me to do something, I'm there. Period. That's it. We're not talking about money. I don't care. Like, I am working with them for them. And so that's kind of how the last 48 hours has been for me, you know? And I was talking to somebody about this earlier because it's like so many people want to be a part of what's happening. And they're like, hey, I know, like, how do I get this? Like, oh, there's a campaign, you know, like, how do I be a part of this? And I'm like, it's so funny. Like, I'm going to tell you the story. I was sitting on my couch.
That's what I'm doing right now, by the way.
Yeah. I was sitting on my couch with Jason, my production partner, yesterday at noon. And we knew Ollie was coming in and going to be a player in the campaign. We knew Nick was coming. We knew they were coming into Austin. And like, do we want to work with Ye and our friends? Of course we do. But we were like, okay, how do we play this? We're like, what you do is you don't ask. Like, you never ask, like, can I please be a part of this? You know, it's like, just if they think you've shown up for them in the time that you've known them, they'll come to you. Like, that's where you want to be. You want people to come to you to say, hey, be part of it. And it was so funny as I told Jason, I was like, you know what? If we're meant to be part of this thing, we're going to get a call. We're going to get a call. We're going to get a text. And like, he went home and like literally an hour later, he's like, hey, Ye's coming in. Nick's coming in. They're flying in 2 hours.
So it's kind of like you manifested it almost.
Well, in a way, you would say that.
If you,
it's like, you don't ask. Like, you don't like ask for the thing. It's just like, if you are worthy of it, if you're supposed to be there, if that's the blessing that God's given you, you're going to be put in the right spot. And for Ye, I think that's how it works, you know? So when we got the call, we can't say no because we're supposed to be there at that point, you know, at that time.
So what's the project you're working on with them?
Well, I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know. That's, again, I'll show up. What do you need today? What do you need tomorrow? And we'll see.
Hey, who did those Twitter videos?
I think Sneeko did those.
Really?
Yeah,
or
I think
team
Sneeko
or something.
I don't know for sure, but I know Sneeko was there, and I think he was brought on to do those, the first round of things. Sneeko's awesome. I was
Sneeko. Really impressed by those Twitter videos, those clips.
Yeah, Sneeko's my boy. Like, he should be on the team long term. Like, I love him.
Yeah, just from hearing Sneeko with his own bass. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that's another new. That's the thing when you think about Nick. Like, the relationships is like, it's a streaming thing, and he's talking to Destiny, and he's this, and he's that, and he's going with Sneeko. It's like, dude, like, that's loyalty right there, you know? That was built in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
now he's part of it, you know? Sneeko's in LA working with Ye.
Well, he's
it's
been
all
posting
about
teamwork,
it on like Instagram. Yeah.
Well, these guys, like, nobody is stepping on each other's toes. Sneeko's got a really remarkable and peculiar set of skills as a streamer that I'd never even considered until I went and sat in on his Discord call with his fan base right after the beautiful op that brought him over. And, like, I don't know if you guys have heard that whole story.
Tell it.
All right. Black Balaclava Groiper was on the street in New York City, ran into Sneeko, knew who he was. You know, Zoomers know these figures.
You ran into him?
Yeah, well, this is before, this is like the beginning of the thing. He red-pilled him on Nick on the street.
I always knew Black Balaclava Groiper would have.
So Sneeko was intrigued, right? And then now Crypto Zoomer, who's a wild guy.
Let's go.
Crypto Zoomer was watching Sneeko, and Sneeko was live streaming to 6,000 viewers on YouTube and was talking about wanting to reach out, find new people to talk to. And so Crypto Zoomer came into the Know Nothing Discord, my Discord, caps lock on, came in hot. And I've pinned this over in my Discord because it's like heroic moment, right? I gave Crypto Zoomer his own Crypto Zoomer's Cave channel in my Discord where he can post his insane memes or whatever. And I gave him a Medal of Valor. I posted all this stuff. I gave him a moderator status, which I had to revoke because it's too crazy. I just gave it back to him recently. But Crypto Zoomer comes in and he's abusing the ability to at everybody on the server, and he's like, "Get in here now, Sneeko." And I don't know who Sneeko is, but he's like, "Sneeko is looking to talk to content creators. Go in and spam Nick in the chat." And so he starts doing that, and guys start flooding over. And Chicken, huge shout out to Chicken. All I'm going to say about Chicken is the guy's a moderator in Nick's chat. All right, that's all I'm going to say about it. And that, if you're smart enough, if you tuned in, you ought to understand what that means. But
Chicken's real.
Huge, yeah. Chicken is the real deal. When you think of like the next gen, the guys that are just going to be making huge steps across the face of the earth for America first, Chicken he's already there. But Chicken is just there. By the time all these groypers start showing up, Chicken is thinking so far ahead. Rather than going in and doing what 1,000 dudes are going to do in Sneeko's chat, Chicken has super chatted his way into holding a moderator position in Sneeko's live chat. And
Yep.
because
Okay.
even especially right now, because guys are messaging me about this over on Twitter, you have guys that hate you because they don't know what's going on over here. Well, America First had the opposite problem around that time. You had all these dudes that peeled off with McNeil, and they were seeing this happen, and they were sick. They were sick to their stomach. They could see it shaping up, and they were freaking out. And McNeil probably knew better than anybody about how these things can go, because, at some point we're just going to have to pencil the guy out of the pictures altogether. But I can say this, right? He was one of the major impetuses for the Groyper War. Before he was part of America First, he kind of did it on his own. And so he knows how fast the tide can turn when you start applying manpower, right? When the word starts getting out. So he was sick. He was going in there trying to ruin it, and Chicken just banned him immediately. No one ever said what he had to say. And within probably 20 minutes, because Nick's show was on, right? Nick was live, and dudes are just spamming, call Sneeko, and they're spamming the link in the chat. And of course, like I said, Chicken, a moderator in Nick's chat as well. And then, we see history made. Nick calls Sneeko, and it's beautiful. I mean, it just flows, right? And Nick is the ultimate last mile man, right? You put anybody in front of the big boss, and he's not going to treat him how like I would treat him or whatever. He just closes. It's beautiful. Ask President Trump. Ask President Trump. Ask Ye.
Let's go.
Ask the two most famous billionaires in the world right now, who just happen to both, let's just say, be running for president, possibly, right? The only two guys that anyone's talking about running for president aren't just the most famous billionaires in the world.
My theory is that Nick
They
wants
also make how any of us feel about Nick. They feel the same way. They think he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, that he is the great man of history of our times. They all agree with us. So does Sneeko. But the best thing, right, after Sneeko and Nick talked for like 40 minutes, is we were all watching Nick. We were waiting. And Nick is so controlled, but he let himself enjoy the moment a little bit. He was like stoked. He was like, yes, that went great. And it seems so far away and maybe even small now, because of what has happened, right? The Thanksgiving dinner with the president, and yay. But the Sneeko thing was such a big deal to be in the audience for, because of how Nick reacted once the phone was hung up, right? He was stoked, like he had closed it. And so many bigger things have happened since then, but they didn't happen without that. And Sneeko's part of it now too, like Paul said. But going and sitting in that Discord and listening to how Sneeko orchestrated his own audience, that woke me up to the fact that you don't just have to be dancing up on stage with the stage lights in your face to hide the fact that you do have an audience. You are talking to them, and you can motivate them in the same way that you motivate yourself to do and be greater. Now,
Delegate.
It's not just pecuniary. Yeah. Sneeko was figuring out who was going to come and film his next couple videos just to trial it out. But also, they get all this experience and they get confidence. When you work with a pro, he shows you that you can do things you never even thought you could do. He's going to elevate you. So seeing that, and Black Balaclava just messaged me on Telegram saying thank you for recognizing him. So that feels good too. That's better than any super chat, because these dudes are the future. They're the new founding fathers. They're just not there yet. We're just not to the new constitutional convention yet, but it's coming, and you're seeing it shape up. This is the French and Indian War, and we're a long way from we're a long way from 1791, but we won't always be.
I just want to tell you guys, I was there in that first Nico chat. I was watching that show. I remember it, and I will tell you, I just texted Nico and I said, "Hey, come into this chat, because this is like we are talking about the lore right now. I don't know if he's gonna get this text, but wouldn't that be cool if we can all?
It would be cozy.
That would be cozy. That'd be really cozy. It's beautiful how you said that, man. Beautiful how you said that, Wendell.
Well, it's that's why the whole thing works so well. It's synergistic. It's teamwork. None of us fill the same roles. We could all probably cross-function to a certain degree, but that we don't have to is just a testament to what Nick has achieved that drew us all together in support of his vision. And now the whole world knows. And it's just getting started. It's just the very beginning of the beginning.
I want to know what the book club role is.
You're doing it, though. You're doing it. And Paul, you may not be familiar with
more.
Yeah, but it's because you have the heart of a competitor. You've got 7 or 8 rings, and you're just thinking about 8, 9, 10 rings. Like, how do I get more rings?
Exactly.
You've already set this inertia into motion with these great scholars like Malton, guys like Taste, even Tobacco Patriot. I go and see what he does in, Franson's community, and you've made this huge impact. Like, there is no Wendell without bookcat. That's totally real. There's no way around that. There's things that I can't talk about. You can't even talk about, that don't have anything to do with America First beyond the fact that it gave us a place to fall back to, right?
Yeah.
And that one didn't happen without the other. And we've talked about it on stream, like the deep penetration, the return of intellectualizing the American system of nationalist economics into the highest realms of Republican economic policy. That's because of bookcat. And we know why. We're not necessarily going to say it here, but what's the ebonics, right? We literally have the receipts. It feels good. Guys can hear me smiling right now. The story will be told one day, but it doesn't need to be told now. But
and also we're gonna keep doing it. I mean, like, I don't want to retire now. I'm like,
beyond that,
the show must go on. You know what I mean? We got to do something else now.
They have that concept in like pro football, the coaching tree. Like Bill Belichick has this crazy coaching tree with all these other great coaches on it who just spent a little bit of time with him, and he altered their trajectory. He just influenced them enough to make them great. And that's what you've done with me. That's what you've done with Malton. Malton is already, and this isn't a joke, Malton, it's not hyperbole. He is the most consequential nationalist revisionist historian of the 2020s. And as far as we know, this century, what he's already achieved has the greatest chance of what many of us thought died with McKinley, of like a real reconciliation. Turning Southerners into nationalists is going to happen because of Malton.
Yeah, he just got suspended on Twitter.
Yeah, did
What's that, Beta?
Yeah, he just got suspended on Twitter.
Oh, yeah, bullshit!
Like full suspended, not just like a temp.
Oh, fuck Elon, dude.
I think it was for the
come to Gab. Come to Gab. Hey, come to Gab.
Elon's a fucking Jew.
Gab's about to blow.
Elon sucks, and Nick was mentioned on his stream. He was like, I think Elon's going to change Twitter, and some people say Elon is just a Chinese battery merchant, but I think what. I still think he's a Chinese battery merchant. Okay, I still.
We'll see.
Base.
If there's what he did when we got banned on the last wave, he thanked Yoel Roth for banning me and 1,500 other groypers. Like,
it was 5,000. The Paul Stinger Unit 8200 ban wave part 2, 5,000 groypers.
I saw one that said 1,500.
No, it's like everybody following Nick again.
Yeah.
All right, I'm sending text. I'm sending text right now about this. Also, hold on.
Power player Paul moment. Let's go. Let's go.
I got Nick and I got Ali. Okay, hold on. I'll come back. Let's see what's going on.
Open BC, by the way.
Yeah, he knows. He probably found you through the stream, right?
Who?
Paul. He tuned in because he saw you streaming on Cozy.
Oh yeah, probably.
He's calling in.
I didn't post it on Gab or anything.
I'm getting all kinds of DMs from Twitter that the BAP guys are all tuning in. They're clipping this live and tweeting stuff out.
Who cares? Fuck you. Hey, fuck you. Hey, clip this. Fuck you.
Go back to Israel.
Go back to Israel.
Yeah, but this is the first taste they've ever had of Cozy. And think about what they're hearing. Like, they must be just, like, violently ill. Think about
you.
Think about this being how you discover Cozy and hearing everything we've been talking about. Let's go.
And what have you been doing? I don't know. You guys like to fucking joke? Hey, what have you been doing?
Their diction classes to lose their heavy accents.
Yeah, Martin's been scrolling Twitter all day for the 1,000th day in a row.
And what the fuck have you people been doing? Making fun of me and what else?
The funniest part is it's open VC and none of them have come in. They're all afraid. What are you afraid of? Like, you have an opportunity to come and talk to us and you never will.
Martin did last time, but I beat him gay slave in front of an audience of like 400. How many people were in that thing? Like 400? I don't remember. It was funny.
I know. I mean, through here, like they're on Cozy right now. They see your Discord link. They know how to come in on the stream, and they never will. They never will do it. Too bad. Keep
hold court.
Refill your popcorn, BAP guys.
Wait, is that what was going on just now in the Discord? Because there were some accounts that just sprung up that were not supposed to be there.
I wouldn't worry about it.
We'll send Officer Malton to go lean on them, to go break their thumbs.
Yeah.
Go throw them in the dungeon.
Here's a Nick corkscrew. Here's a Nick post right here. Nick says, "EA post on Truth Social. What happened? We have determined that you have violated Twitter rules, so we've temporarily limited some of your account features." So he's on a 12-hour. So Ye's on a 12-hour ban.
No, that was before he got it. So they deleted the two tweets. The two tweets of the David Starr swastika. That was when he got a 12-hour from that, and then now it looks like he's full suspended. When you go into his account, it doesn't it's not like a lock.
Yeah.
It's like
But this, this was 44 minutes ago. Yeah.
Does anyone see that Nadia account right there in the PC?
Yeah, it's open. Me. So like,
okay, all right. I was like,
who's that?
Yeah, it ain't me. All right, I'm not the real Nadia.
Okay, it's because I know somebody from a different server with all the same branding, and it freaked me out. Like how? I was like thinking like how? What the hell?
Do you play Hoi 4?
No.
Oh, non-base, but you should play Hoi 4.
Yeah, I've played it before.
Who's talking right now?
Nadia.
Food's down here and Nadia. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ollie Alexander's about to go to fucking war on Elon. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this sucks. What's happening? Like, can we just let it play on fucking Twitter one time?
Here's what I can say. Ollie and Elon talk daily. Okay. And what Ollie Alexander posts is directly being read by Elon. So there is a battle tonight that is happening between us, America First, Ollie's on our side, and Elon suspending EA. So this is not.
Was it actually? What did Elon say about banning EA?
Elon said, "I tried my best. Despite that, he again violated our rule against incitement to violence. Account will be suspended."
That's because he's fucking Canadian. That's not even real. We don't even have that here.
He also posted "fuck around and find out."
Yeah.
What did he say? Fuck around and find out?
Yeah.
Oh, and that's what got him banned?
That's what Elon said.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Ye and Nick.
It's the funny picture, I think.
Ye and Nick were on with Jones in front of 70 million people peak today.
Yeah.
And they're all banned from Twitter. So, we'll see what
That wasn't incitement to violence, but that wasn't incitement to violence. So the question is, what Elon said was incitement to violence. Oh, this is not going to be good for Elon. I'll tell you that. Like, Ali Alexander will go scorch earth on motherfucking Elon, and
let's go.
Well, the funny part
of you're saying Ali Alexander's going DEFCON.
I think it was Ali's first stream on Cozy came just a few days after he talked with Paul on your stream, Paul.
Yeah,
and Ali, he did a wizard trick. It was beautiful to see happen live. It was like a week before what happened, and he said exactly what was going to happen. He said, Elon will become sole CEO of Twitter. He's going to ditch the entire board. He said everything that was going to happen that happened that Friday, like 5 days later. And then he said, watch this. And he went and did one of these tricks where he's like, I'm going to put something on my Telegram in 5 minutes. And I think it was about Trump's announcement, the Mar-a-Lago meeting. And then, he said, like 30 minutes later, he's like, let's check back. And Media Matters was reading between the lines and reporting that Trump was going to announce his campaign at Mar-a-Lago because Ali had said he'd been invited to Mar-a-Lago on that day. And they're like, yeah, Trump will totally announce. And it was just like, oh, yeah, this is such a flex. It's such a flex. It's the ultimate plugged-in move. But any of you out there,
and thanks to Paul, now we know why.
Yeah, anybody out there that just thinks it's like, oh, well, Paul's just saying this, or Ali would just say this to Paul. It's like, no, Ali knows how to shoot the drill in front of the students, and he's done it. So, wizard tricks.
Yeah, Ali and Elon know each other personally. Ali knows multiple billionaires personally, and he knows what's going on here. So Elon's latest tweet, he liked a post of a guy at Jason who posted a photo of EA's account being suspended, and he said rules are rules. And Elon Musk liked that tweet. So
is it Calcanis? Is it Jason Calcanis?
It's at Jason. I don't know who at Jason is.
Yeah, it's Jason Calcanis.
Yeah. So I don't think he's going to be permanently suspended because Elon's already said no permanent suspension. There's a little shit happening behind the scenes today, and I'm not going to jump on Elon because I know Ali and Elon are in regular contact, and so I will kind of follow Ollie's Telegram, Ollie Alexander at Ollie Alexander on Telegram, and we will kind of see what's happening. But
Paul, I got something you'll enjoy. Paul, I know you and I have had some mysterious discourse. You get a general sense of what Wendell is good at understanding from the outside, but there's one man in the world that hates Jason Calcanis more than anybody. And there's a congressman out of Florida who went on Twitch not too long ago and said a three-word term that means nothing to anybody who doesn't watch Cozy TV. But when we heard it, things went through the roof, right? This congressman went on Twitch, and he said when he stream sniped Hassan Piker. This is one of the most powerful congressmen in the upcoming Congress. And he said, America first is inevitable. And I thought back to a stream, an 8-hour stream back in January when poor Michael Alberto, Paul, I know you tried, but Michael Alberto, before he came over to Cozy,
I tried.
Before he came over to Cozy, Michael Alberto was, he burst onto the scene by creating an iceberg documentary, right, about Nick.
I saw that stream. I saw that Nick stream, yeah.
Well, there was the best part of that stream was Nick saying Matt Gaetz is not going to be a groyper, but his staff will be. Mm-hmm. And then he smirked and he said, or maybe they already are. And when I saw Matt Gaetz out there saying America First is inevitable, I thought back. I reeled it back 8 months, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. Well, Matt Gaetz is married, and the woman he's married to is the sister of a billionaire who hates Jason Calacanis more than anybody you could imagine. So, very interesting. The game is afoot. So, whether or not Ali knows that, Paul can probably tell him now that Palmer Luckey, who these guys already know, right? A certain LL, who's also a cozy streamer, is in close with a certain red-headed agent provocateur, a certain Chuck. And Chuck goes way back with Palmer Luckey. In fact, they worked together on the pro-Trump subversive billboard campaign that got Palmer Luckey fired from Facebook before he was a billionaire. But now he's a billionaire, and he's the brother-in-law of a powerful Florida congressman with a very interesting, I'm sure, staff composition, who's not so far away from a certain Roger Stone.
Sources say that Gaetz is on our side.
Well, and then Roger Stone, right? And also Gaetz, incredibly impressive guy. Very impressive guy. If you think he's just some Fox News talking head, you missed the tiny window of opportunity that existed a year ago that in no small way led the Old Book Club to America First and over here to Cozy.tv. That's where I heard what the Old Book Club's most elite members were doing in the halls of power. And one of the most important people I heard in those spaces, not saying that this was an Old Book Club member, but he was around these guys, Congressman Matt Gaetz has the heart of a streamer, natural MC, very intelligent guy, regular networker. And you think a guy with those skills could have made it into Congress in any state, even born into the poorhouse as an orphan. Also not the case. His father is one of the most powerful politicians in Florida. So he's really stacked the deck. But yeah, Palmer Luckey, maybe Ellie. Well, I'm sure he already knows. And if he doesn't, another cozy streamer knows. Who was also who Kanye called from the InfoWars studio today. So we're in good hands. We'll see how it shakes out. But yeah,
it's gonna be fine. Listen, it's gonna be fine. I've texted my sources, and they tell me. They tell me it is going to be fine. Yeah, I am susceptible to get a little crazy. I'm susceptible to get a little.
We've been partying for 2 weeks, Paul. We've been partying for 2 weeks straight.
We have been. I texted my sources, and I said, "What the fuck? You got banned on Twitter?" And what I heard back after a short exchange was, "I got 55 texts just like this. Take a beat." So here's what we got to do. It's going to be okay. All right? It's going to be fine. You guys got me all hyped up.
Take a beat?
Take a beat.
All good.
It's Veda's fault. It's Veda's fault. You got to talk him down now.
Yeah,
you got to talk him down. Veda breaking the news.
All good.
Veda, was that you that got me all crazy?
Sorry.
Veda reported the tweet.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Veda comes running in and trips on the rug, and the whole tray of drinks smashes against the floor. It's taken us an hour to clean it up.
Yeah, Veda took all of Paul's sanity pills.
Busted.
Yeah.
Book him.
What's funny is Ali said he got 55 texts just like mine. So, we're a team here. Okay. Listen, guys, I'm going to go. Thank you for having me on.
Wait. Cancel. Can I ask you a question just real quick?
Yeah, go for it. Go quick.
Do you consider yourself a basty pasty? A Nick Fuente?
All right. I love you guys. Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, come on, bro. Come on.
Who said that shit?
Nadia.
Open DC, by the way.
Yeah, Open DC. Hey, tone it down a little bit, all right?
All right, I'll cool it, bro.
Yeah, don't be hounding the guests like that, all right?
What, you got a problem with basty pasty? I came up with it.
Well, I don't know what that means, and I
Oh,
don't want to know.
brother.
Anyway, yeah, that was a good conversation though. Yeah, learned some new things. I think I don't know. Wendell probably knows everything already. I don't know everything.
No. I whatever I know. I don't know. I know whatever. It doesn't matter. I see some great guys in the chat, and they have a general sense of how much I know versus what I'm saying on stream. So it's all good, right?
All good. Honestly, worst case scenario is EA comes back at the same time as like Kathy Griffin and some other people that got suspended. We don't know when that is. That's like the worst
He
case
seemed
scenario.
pretty sure that it was going to happen, but why would it have to happen like this at all? What has to happen
I don't
for
know.
it
It's
to change?
just day 4.
Yeah.
Who knows what could happen next?
How many
We've
followers?
also all been partying. We've been partying for 14 days straight. Dude, I've been partying hard all day, every day, since the Kanye West drinking champagne coming out of the Beverly Hills hotel, shot by. My favorite one was the guys tracked down the paparazzi company or whatever that hired those photographers that the photographers work for. And they're like, this guy who runs this company is the father of Baked Alaska's on again, off again fiance, Cassie. And they're just psyoping themselves at this point. They don't know what is or isn't coincidence or is not real. They sound like conspiracy theorists, which is exactly where we want them to be. Just totally exhausted while we're partying. Yeah, ever since then, it's just been fucking breakneck, dude. I couldn't even have a Thanksgiving nap without waking up to going on a Kai Clips party stream because the airport gate stuff, right? And then seeing the same guys who are just eyeing the noose they've got dangling in their basement right now for the last 2 weeks for the 20th time. They were like, "Here's why." Like that, okay, he could have just been walking past him to go on the same flight, or whatever it was.
They weren't just walking past him to go on the same flight, but they're not going to meet Trump. Okay, they met Trump, but he's not going to go anywhere.
Hey, if you're listening right now, fuck you, by the way.
Yeah. Like we're both exhausted, but for different reasons. They're exhausted for the same. I mean, it's just been this beautifully paced breakneck operation to just constantly keep shifting and ratcheting up the provocation and the tension every single day to the point that no one is even remembering until I say it that it's been 2 weeks since it happened, and it's just been one step up every day. But for them, it's just
I don't care if I ever come down.
Yeah, we're exhausted from partying nonstop, and they're exhausted because we've been telling them that the end is coming at some point since when did I start getting in their heads? Remember when I went over there in that Smead space at the beginning, I think of May, and we didn't even know who these dudes were, and Nightmare Vision was in there, and I started just dancing on his grave. Right, he just didn't know it was Doug yet, and it's like Smead threw me out, but I remember getting across to him like we know, right? We know all this stuff that you guys laugh past the graveyard or giggle past the graveyard about the teal bucks, about all this stuff, and we started peeling back the wrapper
about me personally.
Yeah, and it's like you guys are zogged out, and we know, and it took them a long time to just stop trying to kill us for saying this shit, but we found out they were real weak, GLC, you'll enjoy. I mean, you were along for the ride too.
Oh yeah.
Well, when I lassoed future Moldovan citizen and just interrogated him, and we found out that these guys in these BAP circles that run those night owl spaces, the partner of Nightmare Vision, you find out months later that this guy, ran an op against Beardson Beardley so they could put the insane shithead Cobb, Christian O'Brien, up and have him sidle up to Paul Town at FedFest.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I asked him that in that space because I remember watching Beardson. Beardson was pissed that they pulled a bait and switch on him. He was fucking pissed. He got all ready to go all the way up to New York. He was going to hang out with Paul, and they rug pulled him.
Yeah.
And of course, we have the GIA. We have whatever. We got people everywhere, and we put it together. But we just sit, like I just sit and wait and wait and wait. And then they just end up in a Twitter audience, like in a space where you're on host or co-host. And everybody who heard my replay from last night got a taste of that, like end to end to end, like nonstop. But yeah, that future Moldovan guy made the mistake of showing up. And man, when you tell them to come and speak, they just can't resist. They can't resist. Well, I interrogated him. Well, hang on. I know, but you weren't in that space. I don't know if you ever heard it, GLC, but I interrogated him.
Oh,
real
no,
smooth.
I caught it.
Yeah, and he just said, basically. He said, basically. I said,
it's half true.
What did I say? Bookcat was there, and a bunch of other guys were there, like Banana was there. Michael Alberto, of course. That was another sign that Michael Alberto was not cut out to be a groiper. He tried to jump in between me and that other guy because he got so uncomfortable here in Wendell mode, right? He got very uncomfortable. He didn't like how calm I was, right? And I asked him, I just said, did you, deliberately blacklist Beardson from this event that you're organizing so you could put Paul Town close to guys that hated Nick? And he said, well, yeah, basically. But then he started freaking out, right? Because he realized that he had just told me what I'd asked him. And because he's way behind the curve, and like I said, anybody who listened to my replay of that space from last night, you're all used to it by now, the process. Like Bookcat said, you can always just talk to them. And you can just ask people to tell you what you want them to tell you, and they will.
There may be like a 20-second pause, and then they say,
yeah,
it's half true. It's kind of true.
No, it's not the 20-second pause. No, that's not what happens. That's not what happens. There was no pause. Because Bookcat, you were there. He told me right away. But the 20-second pause comes when he realizes what he's done, and he starts freaking out. And then
he wasn't defending himself. He literally clammed up and stopped defending himself.
Right,
he didn't want to talk anymore because he was.
Yeah, because he didn't need to talk anymore because he told me all I needed to know, and then I just told him he was a snake, and I didn't care if he left or stayed, but I was just going to verbally abuse him for the rest of the thing because he's useless now, right? So we started proceeding along these lines, and that I think began to rattle their cage. That was 2 or 3 months into that. That was a month after the BAP thing because he had come into an earlier space. And I just used him as target practice. A Bookcat, that was before you knew about his crimes. And, basically we were telling him if everyone knows this is going on. That was the first time I interrogated this dude, asking him about Teal's influence and basically about what we would discover is the monetary factor behind this emergence of the promotion and brainwashing of right-wing Zionism into Zoomers who are atheists. And I asked him about that. And he was like, well, yeah, everybody pretty much knows that's going on. And it's like, well, then, what we're upset about and why we're so angry is why you guys think that you can attack and impugn people for being the first to point out what everybody knows is going on and afraid to talk about. And, that was when he'd run out of utility there. So they knew it was coming. Well, they could never admit that to themselves. And a bunch of them are listening in right now. And it's like, look, you had a chance to fight with us when we were just starting to climb out of the box, but you didn't. And then you had a chance to try and chase us around the room and to try to put us back in the box, but you couldn't. And now you're in a fight with us to keep us from closing the box and nailing it shut. And you're just pushing up against the lid. And there's a crack of light coming through, and it's starting to fade out. But I just want you to know that it's over, and it's been over for a long time. And that doesn't mean it's going to end tomorrow or next week or next month or next year, but it's over.
So true. It's fucking over. And if you're listening, fuck you.
Let's fucking go.
The delusion.
I don't know. I don't even know what their main beef with us is besides that. When did that even happen?
They don't know. They've been brainwashed by Zionist Jews. By gay Zionist Jews, like Bronze Age pervert. They've been literally brainwashed by Peter Thiel's money mixed with Yoram Hazony's Israeli intelligence operation influence. They don't even know that Alex Kashuta is Alex Kepka. They don't know she's Alexandra Kepka and that she's friends with Yoram Hazony. She is a personal contact with a guy who's an agent of the Israeli government. They don't know that. They don't understand what national conservatism is. They think they can go out and make fun of it as lame and gay. And yet all the people who are sitting in their spaces and all the people that they mutual up with and all the people they run downstairs and point and say, Mom, look, Amanda Milius retweeted my tweet. They don't even know that she was, number one propaganda operator at the State Department. They don't know. They don't know that all these people come together under the aegis of Israeli foreign influence interests.
Who posted what her job entailed in the Discord? Was that you or was that Tarnseal?
Yeah, I posted it all over, right? And it would be great to have her on stream.
Blocked by that Astercos guy in like half a second for posting.
It would be great to talk to her, right? It would be great to talk to her. It's too bad Paul had to go because it would be fun, and we'll talk at some point. Paul and I have talked quite a bit today, and we'll talk at some point too. We'll put our heads together about Nadav Eisenman, Alex Lee Moyer, Amanda Milius, Dasha Nekrasova. We'll talk about all of those people.
I remember Alex Lee Moyer from Twitter, but I remember she was mad at me for some reason, but I don't remember why.
Well, her dad was handpicked by Sheldon Adelson to run his media imprint in Nevada out of Las Vegas after he acquired the most powerful state media apparatus in the state. And that's, of course, where Amanda Milius just happened to yada her way under the Trump campaign. And, of course, all these people know each other, but we'll see. We'll see. Time's on our side. But none of you guys listening in from Twitter, hands sweating, thinking about what you've discovered for the first time that you're up against because you could never once bring yourself to come over to Cozy, and you thought we were all just like you somehow. That's too bad, but couldn't be me. Piss on your grave.
And fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you. You've had a year to get on board. You've had at least 6 or 7 months to get on board. And now the only way out for you is to rebrand and never speak on the internet again because I will remember your voice for the rest of my life.
It's true, and he will. If you just tuned in, he just gave his whole speech about how he took the Scotland Yard facial recognition test and got a perfect score. So,
it's too bad.
It's real.
Buy stock now in voice modulation software.
Yeah. I can't wait. I can't wait to give the Farnsworth Munsell 100 and the long form GFMT or with the GFMT2 to, I don't know, 2,000 Telegram subscribers and just see who's good at what and put them in a group chat. And, whenever we need to identify somebody or whatever, I just kick it in there. I don't
GIA,
know.
boy.
Well, they'll never be aware of it. No one can see what we do wherever we decide to do it. And our conclusions don't need to be public until we feel like it.
Yeah, that's the way it usually runs.
What we talk about on here and guys thinking that all this stuff is secret. No, everything that I've talked about is out there in the open.
Yeah.
Everything that I've talked about, hearing other people say, it's been on a stream. So it's all backstopped, right? And this is a fraction. It's a shred of what I know. This is nothing.
Sometimes you have to wait for to see a sign out in the open that you can comment on before you can start talking about things,
Yeah, you just figure out like once something hits the news, you just point to that instead, and then you're not a leaker or a piece of shit. It's it's basically allowed to kind of be hinted at or pointed to, but you don't need to offer any commentary on it. You can just point to it. Anyway,
it's good.
Yeah,
it's good.
14 days of partying. I almost don't even like. I keep telling myself, just don't pick up your phone, but you start hearing ahead of time. Like I wake up, I'm eating breakfast this morning, and somebody wrote in a group chat, and I kicked it out onto on my Telegram. It was like good Paul ominous cancel proof morning or something like good ominous Paul Eskandon morning. And I was like, what's going on with Paul? And Paul's like, you're gonna want to stay. He's posting like you're gonna want to tune in at around earlier this morning before noon. You're gonna want to be somewhere where you could see something happen. And then of course the events of the day begin to unfold. So it happened again tomorrow. Could not. Well, shit, I don't know. I'm so tired. I've been standing up all the time. Now I switched over to a standing desk. Sometimes I stand like I used to sit at the computer for so long, and now I'm just standing all the time. And it's great because you actually go to sleep every 16 hours. So you're so tired. You're so much more tired in general.
I might have to try that along with the study blinders and the metronome.
Oh yeah,
and
the techniques, man. No, standing's great. You guys heard it last night, and you've been hearing it in the space. You can probably hear the difference in the space in the stream since I started standing up instead of sitting. You literally cannot relax. I mean, how can you relax when you're standing up?
The blood flowing in your legs, yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking great. I got one of those squishy mats, and it lets you stand like 10% longer or something. I can't even do the math anymore. It's about 20%, I guess, because the first week I was standing up after like a 10-hour day of standing cumulatively. I was like, this is kind of a lot. But then after I get the squishy mat, it's like you can easily go 20% longer. So the squishy mat, I'm in the standing office products ecosystem have taken their toll, but now I'm more tired than ever. So regrettably, I've got to tap out of the stream after 2 hours. See, that's what's so great about being a streamer. 2 hours isn't shit, man. It ain't anything. Like 5 hours is kind of just getting started for me. So anyway, 07 Kings, a privilege as always. What a week. What a day. Prouder than ever to be in with the Groypers. And America First is inevitable. It's Nick or it's
Nothing.
Nothing. It's only just begun.
Oh boy.
There he goes.
That was pretty much what I wanted when I started off the stream by talking about what's hey, what do you guys think about what's going on with Kanye? And I think we got a good answer. What do you guys?
Yeah, you got
Yeah.
Doesn't
all
get much
hanging
more,
out with them.
yeah. Much closer to the
Remember
source than that.
remember he mentions the 70-minute monologue, and you're like, 70 minutes? Well, he just comes in and continues on a 2-hour monologue.
Standing up.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I should do that too, but I'm like plugged into my equipment here, so.
Yeah,
Gotta
it's
get a
portable,
hardware mixer, I'm telling you.
It's easier if you're just walking around on your phone, but yeah, pacing around, he's probably a pacer.
Yeah. Pacing and talking on the phone is pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty trad too, to be honest.
The Wendelian moment has come.
We've all been waiting for it. The Wendelian moment is when you engage with those self-centered losers on Twitter. They're so self-centered. And then when you take their shoes, you find out their socks got holes in them. They got nothing, dude.
You take these shoes out in front of 600 people.
Take their foams.
Well, it's more like some thousands of people since you got people tuning in and watching replays.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. Or you could be like, yay, and take their cookies.
Take cookies off the counter, yeah. We are taking these Baptards cookies,
Did you
and
guys
we're
watch
getting on the plane.
The Kanye West interview on Alex Jones?
Yeah. Interview that was some other kind of show. I don't know what, but yeah, it was more than an interview. That was like all of the sort of meme content of the year compressed into like 2-hour thing.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that was wild.
I don't know if you can get anything more entertaining than that, man.
Yeah, now that it's out there, I know some guys in LA that have been like in Ye's house with like dinner guests and stuff. And I've known he was like kind of like this about the Hitler stuff for a few years. So it's not like it's new. He got red pilled some years ago, and with the word that he's been like on Cozy or whatever, it's like Ye's been
Yeah, well, somebody said earlier that he's been enjoying the cozy programming, so.
Yeah, that was on Ollie's Telegram, I think. I saw it somewhere like that.
All right, let's hear it in chat. Which account do you think is Ye's sock on Cozy?
Paul Town.
Oh,
For real.
I did want to say it's either a really spooky coincidence or that or Yi watching like Wendell is 100% real, because he made that like SWAT connection thing today. He was like, I'm going in first and you guys are coming in and you're getting them and you're getting the information from them. And Bookcat, I know you asked him about that 70-minute monologue. That's what he was monologuing about 3 days ago. He was talking about developing that in the Middle East. Like that and hearing Yi talk about it today, I was like, either this is the craziest coincidence of all fucking time, or Yi is literally a Wendell-head. If he's not, he's gonna fucking be, apparently.
Yay,
Like, that
watching
was
the
nuts.
Wendell clips from NJ Gloiper.
I would shit if he gets his Twitter account back and he starts posting if he starts posting Gloiper clips. That would be nuts.
Post the nationalist historical.
I'm sorry,
revision
chat.
of-
It's Yay. I apologize. I apologize so hard.
Excuse me. Yeah, I don't know what was. Paul was relaying something from Ali about the show tomorrow potentially. I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
So 70 million.
Yeah.
What are we thinking? What are we thinking those views are going to be like?
That's nothing.
Hey,
Numbers.
this is Yay. You're watching America First. We got a great show for you.
Yeah. How
literally that picture is going to become real. That Photoshop's going to be real.
No, that really happened. He really said that.
No, I know, but I mean the one where he's like behind Nick's desk with the backdrop. That's incoming.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Well, what if Ye does come on Cozy, and then all of the everybody finds out about it? Well, are they just gonna like rent a bunch of server space beforehand? I mean, they would have to, right?
I don't know, but that would be a good problem to have, wouldn't it?
Yeah, they'd have to like anticipate. I don't even know. Let's look at that. Look at the what was it? 20,000 Nick reached on that live stream.
Somebody says yay F tomorrow night.
Yeah. Dude, I'm just waiting for the Yay AF merch collab.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was joking about that, but the Gab collab.
Oh yeah.
I'm waiting to see the Yay AF Minecraft server personally.
The budget for AF activities has just gone up, so it's going to get a lot more interesting really soon. And Nick has been talking about that too, so that's not
the
a secret.
viewership on Cozy has not tapered off.
No,
it's like at least tripled.
Yeah, real.
It's a little wild watching like lols streaming to 300 people.
Who's that? Cozy Streamer?
Yeah, it's a really random guy. I think he's like kind of hung out with Baked a bit. I think it's down there in Clearwater or something, and he just does like a little bit of IRL content and stuff. He's not really like in AF spheres or anything.
He's not a random guy. He's the guy who made Power Chat.
Oh yeah. Now I'm remembering. Well, I mean, as a streamer, he's
I didn't
random.
know that, to be honest.
Well, he's who they say, or he's who made Power Chat. Who, when people are saying Yoba, and as far as any other heads involved, I don't know. But as a streamer, it's random. But he usually gets like 60 guys watching at most, right? And then he hits something like 300 earlier today, when there's like 8 other people streaming and everybody's hitting triple digits.
Well,
and
because
like,
you have somebody who's put together a site that the guy himself is making some of the only big waves in the United States right now. Everybody's magnetized to the guy himself. Of course, anybody who's close by on the same website is gonna. what did Wendell said yesterday, right in the space? He's raising everybody else up from the center.
Yeah, it's just wild. Cozy's like,
yeah. Might be kind of off topic, but look in general.
What's there?
Who is that?
There's this guy Lippincott. He's a Claremont guy.
Oh yeah.
He was on this Alex Kishuda interview.
Oh.
He's like reposting a fucking there's a guy's academic agent.
Oh.
I'm trying to like
Hosea Lippincott.
Yeah. We should get this guy to fucking like get on here. Like go over there and just like pummel his comments.
Sorry, what's he saying?
He's just saying the same old line about like Kanye is like he's literally saying that Kanye and Fuentes is like a psyop to destroy Trump.
He's showing a tweet from academic agent and saying that
it's literally ridiculous. And all of his comments are like groypers. I think they're going in. They're like telling him he's retarded.
He's
and that's the way
touch
it's going
boomer.
to be. That's just the way it's going to be from now on.
Okay.
Yeah, the dude's a totally out of touch boomer anyway. I remember when he had some sort of like episode on YouTube or whatever, and the conclusions that he came to like from it were just so
when he
cringe.
cites Machiavelli and he says Locke is cool.
Yeah, like the dude is just he should. Or it seems like
he's like it's like a mix between like half like base takes and then half just like the most awful like schizophrenic.
Back in, I was listening to the space while I was getting ready to go to bed, and you guys brought up Lippincott.
You know,
hang him up.
He's here. He's listening right now.
Oh, Lippincott, are you in? Is he in here?
Yeah.
Josiah Lippincott is.
They're saying he's in the Discord in the general posting about
I
Alex
wanna-
Kashuda.
I
or
want
something.
him. Get him to jump in.
Hey, Lippincott, jump in.
Yeah, because if he would have to. I mean, he may remember it's the same account. I mean, I didn't rebrand when I came back on Twitter in February. I used the same.
We got to plug the Discord link into his Telegram.
Get Lippincott in here. Get Lippincott.
Get in here.
How do we get?
Hey, get in here right now.
It's worth waiting for because we could kind of pull this guy's head out of his fucking ass.
Yeah, because he's like small, so we could bully him. He's like a smaller Ender, so we could like bully the friend.
Look, no. Look, you don't know what the fuck is going on here. All right.
Yeah, just listen to what Wendell's saying. Listen to what Wendell's saying.
Don't be saying any of this fucking shit. Like this is silly. Like you don't understand anything I'm getting at. None of you will until you get in here.
Well, why don't you make him get in here?
Yeah, I'll set the hook. All right, so
I know he was at Claremont. And
stop. You got to take the hint here. All right, Wendell's back. Okay, so
I don't think Lippincott's actually in the general. I think someone just posted a picture of him posting something.
Dude, yes.
Yeah, that was me.
Man, Bookcat, you got to start. You went without streaming for too long. You got to beat your audience back into shape here.
I know, but
all right, so
all
right, we'll do story time. We'll do story time. We'll do Wendell X Josiah Lippincott. I've been wanting to tell this one for a long time because more recently. All right, you got to cut it out, man. I'm gonna like throw you out of this fucking.
Yeah, do it. Do it.
Yeah, what the fuck are you doing, man? You're harshing the vibe, but it doesn't matter because I've been ready to tell this one for a while. So about a month ago, I see an article in the news about an investigator general's report going up against the woke military. Some of the leading generals like Thomas Donahoe and can't remember the other guy's name, Patrick something or other. Maybe it was Patrick Donahoe or something, like major brass in the U.S. Army. And I had a big smile on my face because I did that without knowing it. I don't know. There were signs. So we have to go way back, right? We had to go a year back in time, early October of last year. And things were starting to shape up in a way that would lead Bookcat and I back together at the end of November, or like the beginning of December. And I'd started to wonder about, like, is there a way to campaign on social media without doing it like out in the open? Is there a way to use group chats? Is there a way to kind of use social media just to identify things? The way I'd always used it before was like the way everybody else did. You really have a narrow view once you start engaging on Twitter of what you actually like. I lurked on Twitter for a long time, for years, and it was crazy. As soon as I decided to start engaging, like socializing on Twitter, I totally winnowed out like half of the accounts that I was just following to observe. Once I picked a side or something, or was participating, I was just like, I became extremely intolerant. So most people don't know that about their social media habits. They don't have a before or an after. They always came in there to engage, and so they have this really kind of highly personalized timeline, and they will just throw people off of it. Right? Somebody fucks up, and they're like, okay, I'm going to stop following this person. I don't want them in my immediate diet anymore, or whatever. Right? So I started to think, though, it's like I had just gotten back on Twitter after the steal, and I wasn't using it the same way. I started to become curious about institutional characters and just follow them as a way of observing something I hadn't observed before, but I wasn't interacting with anybody. And I started to wonder, I'm seeing all this stuff, but I'm totally powerless. I'm starting to put together all these concepts, but because I don't have a network anymore, because I rebranded and, I didn't have, I wasn't using it the same way. I wasn't using it socially. That there's no way I can spread any advocacy around. And I couldn't really, no one was doing that before either. And they're still not doing it. The BAP guys aren't doing it really. I mean, the level up over there would be like Pat Casey's Harley Pasternak thread. What's retarded about that is you don't have to have one because Ye showed the insane tweets from that, or the insane texts from that guy anyway. Like, he'd already taken it all the way. You don't need to do a giant thread about, this guy's even more sinister than you thought. It's like, bro, the conclusion was already given to you. Okay. They drugged Ye into being interned, right? I mean, the guy's a piece of shit. Anyway, so I started to wonder, though, back then, like, how could you take what you know and get something accomplished with it without having a following? Because that's the worst part. When you're on Twitter, you have to maintain it. Bookcat was immune to it because he understood that and would say things like, promote my account, and would use his following in certain ways, which led to great things. But I was always very wary of the need to maintain a following, so I didn't want that anymore. So I started listening to more Twitter Spaces, and at the same time, I was talking with a lifelong friend of mine about this theory. We diagrammed it. It was like, how would you mix? And the theory we came up with is if you could get what we would call content creators now, we didn't necessarily think about it in those terms then, but like, influencers, if you could mix their audiences first. And so I went out thinking about how to identify a test case. And I was listening to Twitter Spaces. And of course, I was already tapped into the Claremont people without understanding anything about them. I just knew that they had a lot of power in the post-Trump Republican Party and the MAGA side of things due to backing Trump during Stop the Steal. And I hear a Twitter space with a Hillsdale professor. Of course, Hillsdale's run by the founder of the Claremont Institute, who's totally spooked out, Dr. Larry Arnn. And so it's a professor from Hillsdale, and it's one of his graduate students, this guy, Josiah Lippincott. And I hear Lippincott talk about his endless frustrations with the woke military. And you can tell this guy is carrying a torch, right? He's pissed. And he's basically saying, like, I am in graduate school because I did not want to reenlist in the Marine Corps due to these pressures. So they kind of threw him out, dissuaded him from continuing to do something that he loved or he wanted to reform. And so I'm like, man, this guy's, he knows the names. He's pissed. He's got enemies in the system. So I follow the guy and I start kind of working my way into his enemies network. So first of all, you observe him and you observe the incoming fire, right? You see who's going after him. And these people were fucked up, dude. These were just openly self-identified military leaders in the U.S. who were hardcore shit libs who were attacking this guy for pointing that out. And they were the most insane criminals I've run into. One guy, you can look this dude up, Major Justin Rose of the Army National Guard. And this guy was crazy. He was committing crimes against Josiah Lippincott. He was using his position, I believe, as a major in the Army National Guard's HR department. He's like a pencil pusher. He was using his access to all military records to illegally release all of Lippincott's service records in form like screenshot tweets. And it's not like legal to do that with people's records. And there's no prosecution or anything like that against him, but they're like, oh, look, he had a lame job or so. I don't know. It's like military shit. And then there was another guy in that milieu that was trying to frame Lippincott for loan fraud. He was trying to frame him, like just openly trying to frame him for loan fraud by insisting to the authorities that Lippincott was trying to take out a fraudulent loan in his name with his address. This guy was also insane because a lot of veterans have been totally driven nuts by their service. And these are all like woke, crazy guys. And I remember telling Lippincott at the time through DMs, I'm like, these guys are like trying to frame me. And he's like, yeah, whatever. He was just used to this shit by now. And so Lippincott finds out that Major Justin Rose used to be in the Marine Corps way back in the day, like 20 years before. And while deployed, I think to Saudi Arabia or something, so not in the combat zone, while in a one of these like tent city setups that they have where you're all sleeping on cots and stuff out in the desert, another Marine got into his sleeping bag with him while he was laying there and raped him, and he did nothing. He froze. He froze while another man raped him in like 2005.
Oh my
And
God.
Rose, sometime later, as part of like his therapy or whatever, this guy went on to rape a bunch more people. And when he was finally caught and sentenced, Rose, this happens a lot with like victims of sexual abuse. They'll all come forward together once a crime has been levied against somebody, right? There's like I don't know.
Yeah.
Like once somebody finally reports the guy or he finally gets caught, they all pile on, so the guy goes away forever, right?
Like Bill Cosby.
The guy was a serial rapist. And Rose came forward to say like he was one of his victims at some point. And so he was like on the record, and his story's like insane. Like, bro, it's like you're laying in bed and you feel somebody just getting in bed with you, and then you just let them rape you. And you're a Marine? Like it was crazy, right? So Lippincott pointed a finger at that and laughed. He found that article and he laughed. And that's what kicked off Rose like going insane. This is how I found the murder cult, bookcat. Joe Kent's group chat. Yeah. That's right. Dude, this is such a funny story. And it started, the way I started it with the hook, right? That it resulted in an inspector general's investigation of the top brass of the United States Army within a year. So a year later. So I'd been working on this theory and was like, the best way to work against, so you do organizational network analysis, right? You kind of look and see what's arrayed against this person. And I found that Rose had a lot of clout within this woke military setup, as well as murder cult. I don't know how much I want to get into the murder cult thing. These dynamics are very strange, and it's peripheral basically to this, in that Rose was a node between the woke military people, which is called Mill Twitter. That's the woke military guys, Mill Twitter. And murder cult. He was kind of like a node between them. And so the woke military people are just like insane shit libs on Twitter who also happen to be top brass in the military. And Lippincott had talked about how they were violating the sacred traditions of fraternization regulations. So regulations against fraternization, which means in the military, junior officers and enlisted personnel are not supposed to have contact socially at all with people like even several ranks above them, because it creates cabals, creates favoritism. It's actually inimical. It creates an elite within an elite and creates huge problems for rank and file and leadership and institutional morale. But once social media burst onto the scene. And we know how transformative that's been. We talk all the time about like Gamergate and the road to Ye and Nick and President Trump having Thanksgiving together. Like, that's all just Twitter, right? So we know how transformative Twitter's been, and we know how slow and old and stupid the regime is, and slow to respond. So military officers started using Twitter too. They just were normal people, and Twitter brings like-minded people together. You just find each other. Like, that's all the geniuses around Nick. We all found each other on Twitter first. We've known who Beardson was forever. We've known who Yoba was forever. Same with Ralph. So it's the same with the military people. They all had found each other, and you fraternize irrespective of your ranks, and you're actually spread out all across the world, right? Because that's how Twitter works. People from all over the world. In the military, there's people living in bases and working in bases all over the world. And they start to network for the very first time. You would never have been allowed to do this in real life. You just couldn't. But now you could do it through this. And they start elevating each other internally. And they create like this international woke cabal probably without realizing it. And they network online. They're the first military officers to use it in this regard. And after like 10 years of this, they've totally subverted all the internal systems of the U.S. military by glad handing each other into systems of middle management power. And their imperatives are entirely gynocratic because all the dudes are simps. And half the people on Mil Twitter are female military officers. So Lippincott is mostly pointing out their lack of professional behavior. And they're freaking out about it and attacking him in all these ways, like committing crimes against him, trying to frame him and all this stuff. And so I start thinking about like, well, how do you counteract this? For the most part, they were openly aggressing against them, but in strange ways, in uncoordinated ways. And then I found Lethality Jane. You guys can look this person up. I'm sure she's still around. Lethality Jane is the anon account of a high-ranking United States military officer, probably at least a full bird colonel at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if she's a female one-star general. Very powerful, and you can sense that by the social dynamics around her. And that all these other officers, some of whom would identify themselves publicly, remember, they were completely without reproach. Like there was no ability for the system to counteract this thing because they'd attained so much power by being the first group of military officers to coordinate to their own ends like this. It was just a first mover advantage. So I kind of zero in on Lethality Jane within a few days, do an organizational network analysis, totally informally. And I see how she's actually preventing a much larger network that is subservient to her, because this is very matriarchal, right? That's what's so weird about this whole system. And this is where it's going to tie into Bronze Age pervert. So BAP is always against the Longhouse. A lot of you guys don't know this, but I'll get to this in a second. So, well, probably like 10 minutes, right? Let's be honest. It's Wendell talking here. So I zero in on Lethality Jane, and I notice she's always holding a bunch of more senior officers that control smaller networks of Twitter followers in the military back. And dude, these are internationally connected. It's like NATO people. It's the U.S. military, right? It has its tentacles in everything. Not only is it fully jointly integrated across all services in the Department of Defense, it's also integrated with partner nation forces throughout all of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization and all of its subservices. So those people are on Twitter too. So it might be like 2,000 or 3,000 active military personnel from all over the world who are Gen Xers, who are cringe shit libs, who are all coordinated together. And it's probably not a conspiracy, but when you're friends with people, you do things for each other just inveterately, right? It's how networks exist. And so Lippincott is the only person pointing out this exists. And he's not saying this whole thing is happening. He doesn't really even understand it. He's just being acted upon by the most deranged criminals, which is Major Justin Rose, who's a victim of male rape, has been driven insane. And just like that prison warden that Epstein was murdered under the nose of, remember, she'd been like sexually abused by her boss. And instead of fucking giving her a payout and getting her out of the system, as a totally unstable person who's like this, survivor of abuse or something. They just fucking pay her off by giving her a position way beyond her abilities. And so, I guess that could be a benefit, not a cost, if you need to move inmates there to be murdered, right? Under the nose of the state. But in this case, when you elevate a male rape victim to keep him quiet, you don't do anything about the fact this guy was already fucked up to begin with. You saw this with Bradley Manning, who was in this remarkable position to see all of the State Department and Defense Department's top secret communications through a desktop computer in Iraq, even though he was an insane gay man who joined the military to prove to himself that he was not going to end up trying to turn himself into a woman. That's what he said. And then the pressures of service in Iraq turned him into a man who believed he was a woman. And that's what created the impetus. He started taking pictures of himself in a wig, putting makeup on, sending them to his senior officer in Iraq while they were working together. And the guy didn't know what to do and ignored them. And that's when Manning started to have this crisis of conscience and sent all that info out to that one hacker, Adrian Lamo, that snitched him out. And that's how Bradley Manning ended up in prison and then ended up getting out and befriended a lot of people that we know, including the person that booked Ye and Nick for Tim Pool's interview. That's a whole different story. But I'm saying that, like, you have to winnow crazy and weird people out of everything. Nick's talking about that shit magnet. I mentioned that a lot in encountering how fucked up all the people who find themselves around Bronze Age pervert are, right? So anyway, I digress. So you only have like 2 people actively pursuing Lippincott at like a criminal level on Twitter. And then you have a whole network of other and this is how it always works out on Twitter. You have like 2 or 3 real dangerous aggressors that you wouldn't be surprised if you had to kill them in self-defense because they would drive to your house, whatever. You wouldn't be surprised. But then you have like this fucking chorus of retard losers, like brainwashing victims that are just chipping in from the sides. So the same effects are in place here with this woke military cabal versus Josiah Lippincott, graduate student again, Hillsdale University. Now,
man, I thought that guy said he was in there posting stuff, which sometimes happens, but I guess that was not the case at this point.
It gets even better, right? So I go look at Lethality Jane, and she's like counseling guys, like, don't take the bait, don't go after him, right? And I'm like, damn, this could be way more epic. This could be way more undeniable if we could break this dam. And Lippincott is so self-centered, right? He's mostly just focused on like prosecuting his near enemies in this thing, that he doesn't see any of this stuff, right? So I'm out there looking at all this shit, and I'm like, damn, how do we break the dam that is Lethality Jane? And so I just start following her and checking all her stuff out, and I find the fraternization issue. I find a very young female officer that Lethality Jane is just totally enamored with, likes all her tweets, and because she has all this protection because Lethality Jane's a very powerful female general officer in the United States Army, this younger officer who fraternizes with her is totally beyond any possible regulation. In the NYPD, they call that having a rabbi. When you have a very powerful senior officer, an administrative level police official who covers for you, you can murder as many drug dealers as you want for their money and drugs, right? You can do whatever you want, right? You can be the greatest, fullest extent of a street cop in New York as possible. You can be as corrupt as you wish. So in the military, and women be using social media the way all women be using social media. So I find posts from this young woman who is the apple in General Lethality Jane's eye, or what, Colonel whatever this bitch is. And it's fucking insane, dude. I'm seeing pictures from this bitch out on the TL, and I'm like, if you could just get this on Fox News, this would make a big stink. But that's, what I tap back into, like, well, how do you do this? And I've been thinking a lot about it. And so I kind of wandered in as a test case, right? And then I'd heard Lippincott in that space, and I was like, this dude is so passionate that if you just follow him a little bit, he's so monomaniacal about this topic, about this issue, you'll learn enough very quickly that you can see if you could test case his issue and like, could you chip in from behind the scenes? Like, how far could you take it by having, this figurehead out front that will take all the slings and the arrows and won't care about giving you any credit, which you don't want anyway. It's the whole point of doing this. Well, it's one of the points. So I find a picture of this young female officer working a breast pump on her bare breasts in a field exercise in full battle rattle out with a bunch of other soldiers in the field. In the background, she's taking a selfie with fucking breast pump hooked up to her tits. Like, oh, just getting my pump in. And like, dude, like, you never seen anything like this, right? But because she's totally protected, no one can do anything about this. And in the military, they have the total ability to just alter the perception of people below them who are responsible to them. And so they can't say anything about it. And so all I did, because Lippincott was getting a pretty big following at the time. Of course, you realize later what Claremont Institute is, and that they're kind of backing his play, and that a lot of the chorus of people retweeting his stuff are against the woke military, are part of the national conservative crowd or whatever, right? Like Tucker types. So I just feed him the rock. I just pick up like the most egregious posts from this young woman, and I just chip them to him in DMs. I'm just like, check this out. Here it is. And when he posts them, they go wide. And the kind of BAP guy, like NatCon Network, like these retards that we're talking about, this shit is just red meat. And the retweets flow. And Lethality Jane does something I never expected, but was really beautiful. And you see how deranged and insane these people are, like what a corrupt and fundamentally broken system they've fostered through their control of like huge portions of the U.S. military at the middle management level. She takes all these anonymous posts that probably like BAP type guys are sending about, like, saying what Groypers probably even would say about a picture like that, right? And she erases all the profile pictures and names on the tweets, so they're just the messages and the screenshots that she's posting. Because remember, everybody that follows her is some kind of like officer trying to suck up to her on Twitter so she can promote them and network them in as her kind of cadre moving through the Defense Department. And she tells them that this is why they need to go out and push all these new Biden administration regulations. Lloyd Austin, the Secretary of Defense, they were cracking down on white men. Remember that? Like a year and a half ago in the military? They were just trying to fuck with white men and like force everybody to get the jab. I think that's why Dalton left the military. And she's like, this is why we have to go ultra hard in the paint against sexist men in the military. This is what people in your commands are sending me. Like, this is what soldiers in the military are saying about female soldiers in the military. She just lied, right? She had an agenda that she was waiting to execute, and she needed a crisis to do it. She manufactured half of one. And those dudes, we didn't see this because it happened off Twitter, but that's what spawned this Inspector General's report, is apparently they all started acting so out of pocket in their literal commands and got so aggressive with doing this stuff and so performative about it on social media. And of course, the Claremont Institute people were I didn't know at the time, wired in on whatever the Republican portion of the Defense Department had left. Like Bookcat and I saw one of the recent fellows, maybe it was a recent Lincoln or last year's Lincoln, was some Air Force spook. So they do try and cultivate military figures into that, probably due to Lippincott's influence in no small degree, because he's a bit of a minor celebrity in their orbit. So where the BAP guys come into this is that, they were always promoting this stuff, and I didn't know anything about the links. I hadn't thought about the links between Claremont and BAP. I didn't really know what Claremont meant back then. Bookcat, you remember, we didn't even start looking into Jaffa until you watched a speech of him on your stream in like mid-February, right? So everything we know about this stuff has come after February. But Yeah, that's, it dovetails in with Bap's whole thing about like longhouse matriarchal cultures. And, he's like railing against these imaginary ancient European cultural systems of matriarchy or blah, blah, blah. But yeah, that's the Lippincott thing. Sadly, he's fully wired in with Martin and Bap. Maybe not sadly, right? Because he's probably headed down the road of like becoming a trained West Coast Straussian if he sticks around at Hillsdale. But anyway, yeah, that was one of my first big, well, not one of my first actually. That was my last big op before patching over to AF with you less than a month later. But yeah, it did result in an Inspector General's investigation of a bunch of the most powerful members of the United States Army.
It hasn't stopped.
They all got in fucking trouble, dude. They went so hard in the paint against their enlisted men because one of their own lied and told them that tweets they were getting from Anons making fun of stupid ass women in the military were actually coming from enlisted soldiers on Twitter. They used it as cause to fucking crack down on military sexism with an iron fist. So that's the Wendell Lippincott story. I could probably talk some sense into the guy if he's not too far down the West Coast Straussian rabbit hole at this point. But, we know personally, bookcat, from hearing from guys that, like, they don't know and they don't look a gift horse in the mouth. So they don't research these institutions. And then you find out that, you're tainted and compromised like a year after being networked into. And then you've already made these choices, these hard ass choices. And it's like, there's no 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Some of these guys might be in their mid 30s and you're looking down the barrel of a career change in their mid 30s. Like, give me a fucking break. No one's going to do that. So, yeah. And the irony is you did so well on your own that you get networked in, that you were already like a White House appointee before you got networked in. So you're already stuck in waiting what could be 4 to 8 years for your party to re-enter the executive, for you to level up in that. And now some portion of the path that's going to be laid for you back into the administrative state is tied to this totally compromised network that you're not even aware of until some guys on Twitter start telling you about it in DMs,
Yeah.
So I'm a little sympathetic toward Lippincott. I think he still is in grad school or something, but we don't have to fucking save everybody or whatever. Like, you prove your worthiness by coming over, not me having to fucking like take you through all this stuff, because it's so much more beneficial to just talk to guys who get it, who haven't been tainted yet and haven't kind of set out on this journey of digging 2 graves, like a guy that Lippincott has, right? The journey of revenge. Dig 1 grave for your future victim, but also one for yourself. It ruins people. Anyway, yeah, so I heard you guys talking about Lippincott, and I was like, oh, yeah. How about a little story time? A little story time.
Yeah, I kind of remember that, but I don't remember the like whole story like that, so it's interesting.
Yeah.
I did remember the lethality Jane stuff. I remember seeing some
Yeah,
of that.
I'm sure she's
those
still
links
around,
being
dude.
tagged. No, she is. And I was posting in the thing earlier that she, for some time, not even recently, she's posted about Nick, so she knows who Nick is.
Oh, great. Yeah, I don't even. That wasn't. Back then they just wanted to murder Josiah Lippincott. But yeah, Major Justin Rose, what a sick fuck, dude. What a sick fuck. Like, these people, instead of finding God and turning to Christ's salvation, they think that the binary is between. It's like the Kiwi Farms people. They can't keep a gun out of their mouth while they're sitting on the couch and drinking every night. And so instead, they invert that into trying to get other people to kill themselves. And it's just like horrifying, It's horrifying. But yeah.
It's my first time hearing about that story, so.
I've never told anybody about it. I kind of alluded to it in private to Tarnsila once or twice, but never in some fully fleshed version. But hey, sometimes it's the right time. I will say, just when that IG investigation hit the news, I was like, oh yeah, I didn't even flesh it out, right? Yeah, so I didn't even tell you. All right, so the whole point was to knock the right Jenga block out of the tower, and we did that. But what happened directly afterward is it went on Tucker within like a day. Like things got so bad because the dam broke, right? That it went on Tucker. All the military guys started to be clowning themselves. That's where Donahoe came in, and Donahoe went after Tucker, and he went after Lippincott too. He went after Lippincott. I remember, I'll never forget when I saw it.
Did you
'cause
do
we all
this
thought it
with
was scary.
our favorite representative from Nebraska?
No, because Stover, Ovenkin, whatever you want to call him, like when I came back on Twitter after the election was stolen, all I did was I sent him like a steganography thing, right? There was like two guys, my acolyte and then Stover. And I sent Stover an image of what did I try? I think I tried my old avatar, and he just sent me a thumbs up, and I was like, okay, he doesn't get it. And so I sent him he was obsessed for a while with that one. Well, it was probably a joke, but you never know, right? And people can meme themselves into strange fetishes and habits. But Eve, what's her name? That bitch that wrote for Vice, that Jewess.
Yeah.
Eve or other.
Yeah.
So that one of her coworkers took a picture of her sleeping under her fucking desk at work, and she was folded up in a way that for some reason I was looking at it and I was like, all right. And I went into Photoshop and I deleted the center of like a Wikipedia PNG of the flag of the Third Reich. And I just deleted the swastika from the middle of it. And I arranged her to be a swastika. Like if you put 4 sleeping Eves, what was her last? Peyser, Eve Peyser, Peyser, to be a swastika. And I remember it hit real well. And, a bunch of the guys from back then know it, Zabber, Truel, and all these dudes. As you're aware of bookcat, and it's kind of like pouring one out for the homies. You see them now and they still can't get on board, And a
Yeah.
year ago, like at least with one of my acolyte, I was kind of implying to him, it's like, look, like you can come over to Gab with us, but you got to be all the way in. He's like, oh, I'm kind of busy. And now I think he kind of gets it, but it's, they just won't take the step. That's the thing. Like, it's just us. Was it just you, me, and Tarsila? And really, you and Tarsila were the ones that made the big jump from the book club, because I was just in and out or whatever all the time. But that's pretty much it. And I would have loved for Ovenkin or Stover or whatever. He was a legendary, like, psyop guy. He was just the specter haunting the DSA art hose, dude. He was just raping their minds for years. But too cynical. I think guys stare into the abyss for too long. I saw him out there on the TL, and he was just doing the mo fucking yay thing, half in, half out, and he's just coping like, well, maybe Nick could get mo fucking yay to tweet a link to TGSNT, and it's like you just like it's over for you at this point. You might
I
as well
made that
just
same
admit
joke,
that
but
we
it
won.
was but as like a joke.
Yeah, and Greg was always like, he was always doing the same old shit about you, bookcat. Oh, it follows every girl on Twitter, right? I mean, it's always the same thing I always heard. It was just like, tee.
And I'm always
Too
saying
cynical,
that,
man.
but as a joke.
Too cynical. I will say, Representative Greg Stover did get one of the greatest Daily Stormer articles ever. That one was just like a compendium of old heads that had helped that campaign into existence. I don't know if that still exists anymore due to all the problems that England has had keeping that site hosted. But no, Stover wasn't in on it. It was just me. I did it totally solo, which was so based, because it wasn't just the Tucker thing, right? Lippincott going on Tucker, and I was like, holy shit, this is like on Fox News. Within like 4 days of me deciding to execute the tactic as a test, it was on Fox News, and I was power drunk, man. It was the beginning of
Wizard
my
magic,
virtual.
yeah, there you go, like
Yeah,
smoking
because I
crack.
hadn't had a big one. I hadn't had a big one since I broke the backside of the McHugh doxing ring thing. Remember that one? You guys brought me back in the group chat after that.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
Finman had banned me out of there. We were arguing, and Finman knew how to block somebody, would get them thrown out of a GC. We probably shouldn't be telling the Groypers this. Getting thrown out of a GC. And I was generally fine with not being in a GC because we weren't doing anything in there except just fucking around. We weren't coordinating, right? We were just like BSing. It was like a faculty lounge.
Yeah,
Then,
but that's not nothing, you know.
no, I know, but not compared to like what we're up to now that we're coordinating. But it was a lot more. It was
Well,
just
a
normal.
lot of
And,
people ended up in that chat later. I'll just
yeah, I know. But remember, I just fucking, I didn't tell anybody at the edge of 2020. I was just like, I'm gonna delete my fucking account. Like, I hate Twitter so much. I still hate Twitter. I want to delete my account as soon as the clock rolls over to midnight and 2020 begins. And it was perfect timing because then COVID hit and like no one knew how to respond to COVID for like half the year. So I got like a free half year. I got nearly an entire year free. And then the election was stolen, and I decided to just go poke around on Twitter a little deeper after the election was stolen. And I saw my acolyte like crying out for me. He's like, maybe if we post, he's like, maybe if we post some like Cold War military technology thing, he'll return. He'll sense it and return. I was like, I have to come back. My people need me. But then I came back and nobody needed me anymore. No gatekeeping was needed. You remember I was like trying to keep people in line a lot, especially after the influx of like the DSA weird guys came over directly from like the first post left people, and they needed
yeah.
beaten into shape when the feds were going hard with the atrocity propaganda. When that dude blazed up all them ragheads in New Zealand, dudes rabbited. They freaked out. Like the weak sister is kind of like when America First guys talk about Pat Casey at AFPAC 2, or at the first AFPAC, when he saw a tweet that where like Antifa figured out the address and he didn't think about how long it would take for them to get there, and he ran to the front of the room and started jumping and shouting and like tried to create a stampede. Everybody have to run away. They have to run away. Like they've tweeted our address. Not realizing that it would take like 12 hours for people to start showing up en masse, and it'd already be over by then. It's the weak sisters, right? People like Michael Alberto, when I was interrogating future Moldovan citizen in a space, and he tried to like get in between us. And it's like, I am going to destroy you to destroy this guy if you're between the two of us, And then that pays out later when Alberto just never could act right. And it's like, oh yeah, you saw that at first.
I don't
So
even know what
anyway,
his story is. I don't follow Michael
he
Alberto's.
fell out.
Oh.
He just couldn't shoot. He couldn't figure it out, But
what was his issue? What was his malfunction?
Well, what the real malfunction was dudes like Paul, in particular, kind of staking their rep on like, we can change Alberto, right? Like we can make him a guy who understands loyalty. We can kind of fully form him into a groiper, but he has this outside support network that, like the Keemstar retards. What did Augie say about Keemstar the other day? I saw it on Dalton. He said, you know what they call him? Keemstar of David, right? So he's got powerful Jewish influence on him, and they want to act more like just e-drama media rather than political actors. So anyway, yeah, Alberto's gone. That's why I was talking about with Paul. It's like kind of sad in a way, but it's a great lesson, dude. It's like a fantastic lesson. Experience is the master teacher. So the experience I was gaining, I was gaining experience again. Like I hadn't done a real big op since I busted apart the fucking PT Carlo doxing ring and stuff, right? And this one was on like a whole different level because we were hunting big game. We weren't tracking down the real identity of Daniel DiCarlo or whatever. You're going up against people that have a ton of power, and it's like a new experience, and it's totally solo because the guy you're chipping it to, he wouldn't care. Lippincott wouldn't give a fuck. Like there's nothing that will solve whatever they did to him. And he's another one of those guys that has like kind of like family life's not probably what he wants it to be, because Major Justin Rose, the insane guy, that's his real name, by the way. You guys can go look this faggot up. He found that, Lippincott's sister is like married to a woman, and, they use that against him and all this. Anyway, so Tucker gets involved, and then the fucking minority leader of the Congress gets involved. Kevin McCarthy is on Fox News going like, we have to look into regulating the military or whatever for this stuff. And it was 10 days after I was like, how am I going to find? I went into Twitter Spaces to be like, what's a good test case? So I had major success stress. I had to discover what success stress was. It took me a month to find that out. When I was reading all that cognitive psychology stuff that first month, we linked up with America First. And you're like, that's what all those like rationalists read. But yeah, I mean, that was a wild time for me. Now it's fucking old hat. Like, I don't even care about this shit anymore. But that was also the same time where I wasn't even comfortable calling into spaces. That space you heard me in was the first space I'd ever gone in and accepted the microphone in, the very first one. And 2 weeks before, it took me 5 or 10 minutes to build up enough courage to call into the most interesting space I'd heard up until that point. And it was Joel and Keith, hilariously enough, hosting it. And while I waited to get the mic, I wrote up a question in the notes app on my phone and recited it while I waited to get the mic. And then I read it off. And then it went great, which is funny. But that's how degraded and beastly and strange of a Twitter user I was a year ago until bookcat turned me into what I could be, because instead of thinking that I was equal to bookcat because I knew things that he didn't, and so, bookcat might know more about this part than I do, but I know more about this than bookcat, so we're actually like equal. But then I heard in spaces and discovered the fruit that bookcat's project had borne, and I was like, this is a leader. Like, this guy, this is a person worthy of just following, and whatever I can do to contribute to bookcat's project is worthwhile. And I just made bookcat tell me what to do. You just got to tell me what to do. And of course, he brought us over to AF, and then you see what Nick is doing, and it's like, bookcat might be my boss, but Nick is the big boss, And so anyway, yeah, that's the kind of the end of the story, I guess, was it showed you how quickly things could be done. But of course, it took a lot of analysis early on. I analyzed a kind of a concept for operations, and then the test case was so successful, I didn't know how to deal with that. But now, we do all kinds of fun things, and shit is so big that we're working inside of that. Like, I can't even talk about tons of stuff, and I prime my audience for that. I was like, for the last couple months, it's like, look, if you get really important, you'll kind of have to disappear, and then by the time you start like being only able to stream once a week, and it's just a lazy ass call-in show, which is great content anyway, but it's not like I'm reading a 400-page book in 4 days and streaming all my notes out about it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I kind of set the stage. Like, I kind of primed them, for this stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of possible plays. And fortunately, we've got 600 days to the nomination, right? We'll see how that goes. And I've been able to kind of get comfortable in just the 6 months that I've been a solo streamer on Cozy, and all kinds of doors open for me because, I accepted what you told me to do and I did it. But yeah, too bad the military. And that's what's so great about all these young eccentric geniuses over here. It's like, this is what they're getting order and discipline from, instead of what Lippincott couldn't find, because the military's done, dude. It's gone. It is fucked. It's so fucked. And Zoomers at least know that. And so they come to AF, and they got the Groiper generals now. Guys accused me of being a Groiper. I shouldn't say accused, but somebody in the GC was like, you're a Groiper general now. I'm like a Groiper private, dude. I've been here since fucking, like, maybe December. like total new fag. But they're like, maybe you're like a Groiper mercenary. It's like, no, I'm Nick or nothing. I'm not a mercenary. It's like a fucking insult. Like, I'm like one of the only guys that doesn't take super chats, and some Zoomer wants to call me a mercenary. It's like, you need to become a Wendell head. Like, time to put you on the anvil and start hammering. Because that's what is possible.
When are you going to start taking super chats?
No, I think the less super chats I take, which is none. If I take no super chats, that money goes to other Cozy streamers, and that's the way to do it.
I don't think so.
Yeah, well, if I could work it somehow so like it all went to Nick, but I could still engage with the super chats, I would do it. But I don't know how to do that.
Tithe to AF, yeah.
Yeah, like if I could have it set up so the super chat would come in and I could read it off, and the audience would want to engage and everything, but all the money went to Nick, and I didn't have to tell the audience that, so they'd still think it was going to me, and then because it would probably like, why send it to me if they could just send it to Nick? So if I could like hornswoggle them and hoodwink them in a way, and the money would go where it needs.
I guess.
Well, the money would go where it needs to go. I could do that, but no, I hate money. Just like I hate Twitter. I'm one of those guys that doesn't need money at all, right? So like I'm a very privileged person, a very privileged lifestyle, and that like money doesn't really exist for me. So I just don't care about it. But
Let's
at the same
go.
Well, I'm a total ascetic. Like I'm totally ascetic. Like very few things. I remember I had to buy a streaming setup to stream. I didn't even have a computer. I was down to a phone. Right, I was down to a phone, and I didn't even have a data plan. There was a period of time where I wasn't even using the internet. I was just reading books. I mean, for personal stuff, right? So as far as like home stuff, I was totally stripped out. So I don't need a lot of things, and that's why I'm able to do what I can do, because I can focus. But at the same time, Christ was right about money. It's bad. Like, it's very bad. It's so bad that guys like me would rather be a vector for other people to have all of the money we would otherwise be earning, because they can do the right things with it. And what we need to do is be subservient to those people with our time and energy, rather than think about what color the Lambo would be. Because that guy's not going to spend it on a Lambo. He is going to spend it on making FBI Director Beardson real. And that's more important than any super chat.
Oh man. Yeah, I disagree. I just it's nice. It's a good feature.
Oh, people are saying Nick is on Politically Provoked. How about that?
Yeah.
I think Nick Fuentes handled himself real well recently.
All right, well, I have to get out of here. I was supposed to get out of here, and now that Nick is on Politically Provoked, then I'm not going to hear you guys say something that'll draw me back onto your stream. So I'm totally running away like a coward and a traitor to go get more Nick content, even though we watched him for 3 hours earlier today. But I'll just pretend that I'm actually going to sleep. So thanks again for having me on, Bookcat. It's always a pleasure. To the rest of you guys, I hope you enjoyed that story. I don't know what to make of it myself, and it's fun telling something for the first time. I know it took a while, but if I ever have to tell it again, I'll only take half the time. So that's growth. Okay, guys, America versus Inevitable. Love you all. Good night.
Yeah, this has been going on for quite a while now, so we should probably wrap it up and go watch Nick anyway, to be honest.
Let's get 07s in the chat for Wendell and Bookcat.
And no super chats for one.
I don't blame him. I think he's got a good reason.
Glad I could provide content.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I don't think it's so bad. I don't think it needs to be so bad. Unless you have some like inordinate attachment to it or something. I don't know.
Well, it does kind of, it structures your stream a little bit, I guess, in a certain way when you've got super chat set up.
And how is that?
Well, then it's a moving part you suddenly have to think about. Maybe. Well, I guess not necessarily. I guess you could just ignore it. Just collect the money and do nothing. Just scam.
Just read it at the end, yeah.
Yeah, or read it at the end.
Maybe I'll do that. Maybe after this I'll do that.
Yeah, speaking of streams that are live right now.
What happened?
Sorry. Hey, Gato, a little birdie told me that you
Who's this?
like. I'm Nadia. You were against free trade?
Oh, yeah.
What the?
Let's go.
Well, you know that free trade is just taxes on goods, right? It actually hurts the economy much more than, putting tariffs on stuff.
Okay.
Well, so you're not even open to having a discussion about free trade?
What about it?
Well, I want to change your mind on the concept of free trade. I want to sell it to you. I think it'd be a much better way of selling things across the world.
I don't think so. I think what I'm going to do is do what I just said I was going to do and close it out after this, see if I read like the 3 super chats that I got and then turn it off.
Probably a much better idea.
So true. I think that's what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can turn this thing off.
Well, I'll be back, and we'll discuss free trade.
Okay,
I like
yeah,
you, Gato.
make sure you go to the Discord for that. Everybody, you'll have a warm welcome in the Old Book Club Discord.
Yeah, listen, if people would actually read economics, okay,
yeah,
they would know that free trade's the best thing.
Okay. Okay, all right. Let's see what's going on with Power Chat Live here.
Holy shit.
What?
Was that like a troll? What the fuck?
Oh, I don't know. Who cares?
So true.
Doesn't even matter.
I have no idea how to open this thing. The new Power Chat is so weird. The new Power Chat website.
Boomer alerts in the chat.
So true. Events. Here we go. Okay.
Anonymous sent $3. Sorry to put you on the spot, but would you ever go to a pack?
Yeah, I would. He sent this 2 times. I don't know why. Okay.
Almost done.
Oh, this is from the other day. Okay, so that was it. Just one. I got 1 super chat 2 times. All right, that's it. Good night. Go watch Nick on Politically Provoked.